Hey guys, this is CJ from Going Dutch Radio Network. That's right, I'm here right now. This is the day after podcast number 19, but you are about to watch podcast number 19. That's right, you're about to watch podcast number 19 from August 4th, Saturday. Sorry if you didn't watch on YouTube. YouTube is not working correctly with our account. I tried multiple times during the first 30 minutes of the show and it would not work. So, yes, right now if you're watching on YouTube, that's because I just posted this video. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis real quick. It was me, your host CJ. It was Candy, Blue, and we had a very special guest, Moe Zura. That's right. His name is Moe Zura. First name Moe, last name Zura. He has a YouTube channel as well. He's very religious. So we talked about religion for the most part of podcast number 19, but it was pretty awesome. So if you guys liked it, please comment. We greatly appreciate it. And I promise we will be back on YouTube next week. That is a promise. We're going to get it figured out. Also, we have a new camera view as well, as you can tell right now. So enjoy it. We'll see you guys later. All right, guys. This is Going Dutch Radio Network, people. And we're back. We are finally back. Yes, it was a little bit of a delay. And I'm sorry. Things do happen around here. Okay?
There's no excuse.
No excuse at all.
No excuse.
This is Going Dutch Radio Network. This is podcast number 19, people. Podcast number 19. Is anyone excited? Anybody?
I'm very excited. We have a new guest on the show today.
We do. We do. We do. His name is Moe Zura. His first name's Mo. His last name is Zura. Moe Zura. How's it going, Mo?
It's going well. Thank you very much.
Good. Good. I'm happy.
That was a nice introduction.
So, is there anything you want to talk about yourself and anything? You don't have to. I mean, it's up to you. You can keep it private.
Oh, no. My name is Matthew, but my handle, so to speak, is Moe Zura.
Okay.
Because that's where we live, Moe Zura.
Oh. Wait, is that really why you call it that?
Yes.
I get it. I get it now. Okay.
It was a play on the rap artist Flo Rida from Florida.
You got to be kidding me.
No, so I said Moe Zura.
I never even thought about it. Flo Rida was Florida. Did anyone know that? Did anyone even think about that?
No,
I didn't.
No, I don't think about Flo Rida that much.
But but did you ever know that that Flo Rida was Florida, like Florida?
No,
Moe Zura.
I had no idea, but now I do, and I'm glad I do.
All right, guys, Going Dutch Radio Network. This podcast number 19. We go live. We try to every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central. That's right. If you notice, we do have a different camera setup this time. It's pretty awesome. Every 8 seconds, it changes a camera view. One at both of us. Oh, in 8 seconds.
Hi.
And the next one's going to be on them. So to the camera's left right now is Blue. How's it going?
Not bad. Not bad.
The next to him is Mo, and then to the camera's right is Candy. How's it going, Candy?
Candy's well.
Is he?
Yeah. Candy's doing great.
Candy's drinking tonight. Candy's drinking. Now, normally he does not drink, and I am CJ, your host. We got a good topic. We got a lot of topics going on. So what's going on, Blue? You okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to determine if the headphones are too loud or not.
No, they're good.
Usually I have them kind of a little bit forward on my ears.
Gotcha.
Mickey is missing tonight. He's playing soccer alone in his bedroom tonight.
We miss
Yes.
you, Mickey.
Yes, he is. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Cool. All right, guys. This is Going Dutch Radio Network. Please watch us live every Saturday night, and please on Facebook, YouTube, and that's about it. So
what's the topics, GJ?
real quick, side note, YouTube, we are not live right now. YouTube is having some problems. Not us. I've tried everything. It really isn't us. Maybe YouTube has a problem with Going Dutch Radio Network, but YouTube, we're not live right now. But if you're watching us on Facebook, please comment and call us in live during the show, 636-926-6945. And let's go on with the topics, people. So we got, you want to say?
Yeah, I'll say it. I'm not going to say all the bullet points.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about religion.
Yeah.
This one should be very interesting. Is farting in public taboo?
3 question marks?
Number 3 will be our IQ test. Reliable. Number 4 is which country could beat U.S. in a world war? And
Nobody.
Number 5 is can AI, is it?
Yes, artificial intelligence.
Okay. predict human behavior, and 6, should the internet be controlled?
Well, okay. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. Let's go.
All right. So, what do we want to hit the big one first, or do you want to hit that one kind of a little bit later?
We might as well hit religion first.
Why? No.
Mo, it's up to you. Which one do you want to hit? Which topic do you want to start with first? It's up to him. He's the guest of the night.
I'm the guest. I mean, just
No, you're the guest. You get the pick.
We got to draw the people in.
It's up to you, Mo.
We got to make it nice and sexy.
Come on, Mo. You tell me.
let me see what. What's
What if
further
you-
down?
Oh, keep on going down. Okay.
What about farting in public?
Let's do.
Come on.
Which country would beat the USA in a world war?
I like it. That's a good one to start with, because of course we'll probably end up talking about Trump. Okay, so which country could beat USA in a
Well,
world war?
A lot of liberals would probably say Trump is already beating us in war. Yeah.
Okay, so Blue, you wanted to bring this one up.
Yeah.
Do you wish that someone could kick our ass? I feel like that's your bottom line.
No, not at all. Why would I want somebody to kick? I mean, that would hurt me and people I care about and everything.
But a lot
Come on.
of people who live here want that to happen. They want the U.S. to fail.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Just look.
No.
Are you watching TV? You're watching the news, reading the paper?
I feel like that we've gotten to a point where the U.S. is a little bit, we're not the big giant in the room anymore. There's other giants. China has a military. Russia has a military.
Right.
They kind of pose a threat.
Okay,
to
so
us.
you think China or Russia?
I think China could potentially beat us in a world war.
But their
scenario,
country is so
yeah.
poor.
No, their country's actually doing very well.
Have you ever visited there?
No, I haven't.
I know someone who's visited there.
Just because there's people who are poor doesn't mean that they don't have a robust military. I mean, North Korea has 1 million standing army, and they're not considered, like a, beyond a third world country.
But why do people want to beat us in a war? What do they have against us so much?
I don't know if they do want to beat us in a war. I'm just saying that if the scenario were to happen, that there's potential that we may not necessarily defeat whoever we go up against.
See, I disagree.
Well,
I think
don't-
that's why countries like China, Russia, North Korea haven't attacked or come after us
No.
because they know they would probably lose.
Well, and because we have naval bases and we have military bases throughout the entire globe, so they're the potential of a country actually striking us first without being retaliated against immediately would be pretty slim to none.
What do you think, Mo?
Well, I'm not too sure. I would say, as far as China goes, the way they've been doing babies for the past few years, they have all men.
Isn't that creepy?
Yes.
I absolutely agree.
So
it
lots
scares
of
the
men,
crap out of me.
and they have no wives to go home to.
Yeah.
So
It's because men can work the fields better, I guess. So since all that's available now
Or is that
in China
genetics?
is these shitty jobs that only men can technically do better, they're just having more men. That's it. And then they abort babies. Is that what they do, or what? I don't even know.
So when they find out it's a woman, they abort the baby because they want a man?
yes.
Yes.
Well, there were a lot of women who fought in Vietnam, so it's not necessarily a sex thing, to determine how the war's going to go.
Oh, I think it is.
I think
now.
there's prestige
If you can
having
get
a
a-
male baby in China.
Why
Absolutely.
abort
Yeah.
Why abort the baby when you find out it's a woman if it's not a sex thing?
It's here's the thing. It's not like I don't like women. I don't think it's necessarily to that. It's just because they're so poor. Imagine your families are so poor that you can only find like poor working jobs, which are really hard working jobs, which women normally can't do. Like certain really bad jobs, you have to find a guy to do
Like
it.
a labor job.
Yes. So you hope that whenever you get a little bit older, that you can have, all your sons are sons, so that they can, help you out later in life. Isn't that like really the reason? I mean, I feel like that's part of the reason.
Well, I was looking
mean,
at
so
it
it's
in the
part of it.
context of like the military, like so you're suggesting that since China is putting an emphasis on males, that is sort of leading into what their policy is militarily.
It could be. And then also
Yeah.
they do their standing army is the population of the United States, so
tell me that's not freaky. Was it 300 million people?
something like that.
Yeah. Even if their infrastructure of their military itself is bad or shitty, like to the point where maybe they only have each have a pistol, Like, imagine they have 300 million pistols, which
yeah.
how many rounds of ammo?
Invading them is impossible.
Just, yeah, if they ever decided to invade the United States, we're done.
No,
Who?
Done.
I don't know about that one. And
Okay, real
this will
quick,
probably make
guys.
the conversation a
No,
little
I
bit
don't
better.
think
So.
so.
Real quick, guys. We're talking about the United States. Can anybody beat the United States in a war? So that's what we're talking about. Right now.
Anything's possible, but to just say we're done, I mean, come on.
Here's the question: Is nuclear arms available during this?
No,
during this question.
no.
But that's
that
what
would
it
just
would
be
be.
stupid.
So
I mean,
everything,
it would just be
anything goes
no,
except for that.
No nukes. We're just talking about
Everything else.
This is like a Tyson,
A knife fight.
In his prime against Muhammad Ali kind of scenario. I don't even know if that's a good idea to place it in, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that you have to kind of suspend the idea that we would use nukes and that our adversary would use nukes. It's just sort of like the idea that we would just have a conventional military conflict without even considering firing nukes at each other.
I don't think that would ever happen.
Probably
I don't.
not.
I mean,
It's going to be a nuke war.
it's going to be. Well, yeah. If war ever does happen, it's definitely going to be.
I don't know if
that's
it
going
would.
to be it.
I really don't, because we came so close with the Soviet Union to go into war, and we never used nukes. We fought each other through proxy wars. Now, if there was a hypothetical World War III, I'm saying that since we're talking about this, that we would not use nuclear arms. So
Well, we would. And so would the other countries.
I don't know. I have
If
no
there was a
idea.
World War III, Russia would be involved somehow. North Korea, maybe.
Would
even
Russia be
China.
on our side, though? That's the thing.
Probably.
With Trump in office, probably. I
Yeah.
think Russia would be on our side.
Because I think Putin likes Trump.
Yeah.
And there's over 1 billion people in India too, but they're generally peaceful.
1 billion people.
Yeah, it's going to surpass China soon if it hasn't already.
1 billion people.
In
I mean,
population, yeah.
that's not good. That's not good at all.
They
If
don't like
there's-
Pakistan, though. That and it seems like that we pretty much maintain an alliance more with Pakistan than with India, though we also have good trade relations with India. So I don't know which one we would pick over the other.
Well, okay, so let's go around. So, Blue, who do you think would defeat us in a straight-up war?
If there was a country that could do it, just one country, or
I already know who I'm going to say.
Why don't you go ahead and say? I need to really think about this.
I think Russia.
Mo, what do you think? If there was one, who would it be?
If there was one, and I had to name one,
Mm-hmm. If you had to name one,
I'd say Canada.
God damn it! I was gonna say that.
Canada.
I was totally gonna say that. I swear to God, I was gonna say that.
And then
Oh.
He beat you to the punch.
don't
He did.
they wear the red vests or the red coats or whatever?
Because Canada is the last country you would ever suspect would pull a sneak attack on us.
Exactly.
We have no border security.
No border security.
They have a very good military. They have a strong military. I mean, and DC is pretty close to the Canadian border, relatively speaking.
Canada.
boom.
They should just be part of the U.S.
Right then and there.
And if the Mounties
They
ran
probably
out
are.
of horses, they'll just mount up on moose.
That sucks so bad. I was going to say Canada.
That's
Oh, well.
interesting. That's interesting.
Huh.
How about you, Candy?
I said Russia.
Russia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Russia. Russia, and if India ever.
Wait, whoa. Why would Russia beat us in a war? I'd really like. I mean, are we invading them? Are they invading us? Or are we just sort of
No,
like?
you just asked the question.
The perfect matchup. If you could put two of them in a ring, who would win?
I mean, we would win.
How?
We have way better military technology than they do.
But
Our
Putin-
Air Force is way better.
Putin would not put anything off the
Navy's
table.
better.
I don't think Putin would let anything off the table. He would be.
But
he
we're
would be
saying-
like,
we're
I'm
saying-
gonna throw babies
Well,
at
why
them.
don't
Like
you,
they would.
why don't
you
you
know
be
what I mean?
serious about which country then? I mean, Canada?
No, I mean, if you're talking about a country that could totally sneak attack us, we're not expecting them. Canada's, they look as friendly, peaceful people. We don't lose sleep over worrying about Canada invading us, right?
That would be the end of Canada.
No, I think Canada, if they were able to do, like a blitzkrieg attack on us overnight, we're not suspecting it. I think they could hold us for a very long time.
Give me a freaking
In a
break,
fucking half
dude.
Nelson, I really do.
And then we'll all be eating poutine for the next 100 years.
Well, Blue's not going
poutine's
to be the
good.
next president.
No, blue's definitely not gonna be.
No, I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on Canada.
Right.
I mean, they're right at the border. Come on, people. I don't know why people aren't that more worried about them. No,
Because they're
really.
not a threat.
Are you being serious?
Right now,
Does anybody know how big their army is? I'm just curious. Like,
No.
is it huge? Is it even exist? Does
Yeah,
Canadian
no,
Army exist?
They do have an army. I did a little bit of research before the show.
Yeah.
And we do think of them as the friendly neighbor to the north, but they do have the dirtiest hockey players.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yes.
right.
And they are part of the French, right? If I'm not mistaken. So
That's Quebec.
Oh,
Who is that guy?
yeah, it's a different guy.
Yeah, they have a lot of French influences there. So they're probably more than likely not going to attack us. But if they decided one day they're like, I've had enough of America making fun of us, saying we're big pussies, they would actually be the country that could actually pull it off.
Really?
Because
No, not really.
do we have any border security with Canada that I know of?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Yeah, I've been to Canada 3 times.
A relatively lax border security, though. We're not.
I will tell
It's
you.
not like
it's
the
harder
Korean-
to get. It's harder to get into Canada than I feel like it is probably to go from Mexico into the United States. And going back into the United States, yeah, they make it a big deal. They do. They strip searched my entire car.
I was gonna say
they took the luggage and they literally they just took it right out of our car.
Yeah.
All of it. They even they made us like take the dog out of the car and everything.
Why is
and
that though?
Nothing. I didn't do anything wrong. Nothing.
Why do they do that?
Because I look paranoid. So I probably look like I'm doing something wrong.
No, I'm sure I look paranoid too. I mean, fuck.
Hi. There's nothing in my car.
Strange thing.
I swear.
Not only that, whenever I went into Canada, okay, you listening to this? Do you know pit bulls aren't allowed into Canada at all? No pit bulls are allowed to be alive in Canada whatsoever. They are illegal. With that being said, if they thought my dog had any pit bull in him, and then I crossed the border trying to say like, oh, he's not really part pit bull, but he is, and they found out, they get to immediately euthanize it. Immediately. And they would.
How would they if you already crossed the border?
If they found out, I'm saying.
Yeah, but if they found out and you're already in the U.S., they can't do that.
Oh, not if you're in the U.S.
What do
saying
they have against pit bulls over there?
I don't know. It's just illegal.
Because they're thought of as violent.
They
like
are.
people.
First of all, they are violent dogs.
Well, but I mean, it seems a bit extreme to kill
Yeah.
every pit bull that comes.
Yeah,
to
that
the country
does. And a
without
lot of
being-
people say, oh, it's all on how they're raised. True to a certain extent, but something in their DNA is violent. Okay?
So what you're saying is that the Canadians are a bit ruthless. At least a little bit more ruthless than we're told they are. People look at Canada, they think peace, serenity. Oh, Canada. I can taste the fresh air, the health care. Oh, Canada. I want to go to Canada.
Well,
But
they're
yet,
not. They're
I mean,
not
we're
as
talking-
politically correct as the U.S. because people in the USA, in this country, are very, very sensitive, and they get their feelings hurt, and they think everybody should just bow down and say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Canada's obviously not like that with pit bulls.
They're not like that with immigrants either. They just throw them back here.
Good.
Well, no.
Good for them.
We have to take care of the immigrants that try to cross over into Canada.
Yeah, we
It isn't
should.
like they take care of them. We got to take
We
care
should, but there's too many people protesting and saying, "Oh, yeah, they're human beings." Whatever.
fascist type person as their prime minister. I mean, the guy that they have in currently, I'm not that worried about. He seems like a guy who, he seems like a nice guy, that he's not a warmonger or anything like that. But, up the road, we got to watch out.
I agree.
Really?
It's creepy.
Why would
We gotta
they
keep
ever?
our eye
Why
on
would
it.
they ever come after us?
Why not? Why not?
Why?
Here's the thing. When you're number one,
Nationalism.
you're always going to be the target. Okay, think about it.
Yep.
Think about Walmart and Target. Since Walmart's number one,
There's a lot of people who want to take us down.
right. Since McDonald's is number one, people don't go after Burger King or Wendy's as much. People will always pick on the number one the most,
They hate
whether
us.
whether they're doing something wrong or not. No, I think a lot of America is doing something wrong. This kind of spiraled out of control. Sorry, guys, I'm not talking too much. I'm trying to get YouTube to work. If anyone's watching who's trying to watch YouTube, sorry, because you're not watching.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Very sorry.
I don't know what's going on.
Well,
I can't get to work.
okay.
I'm going to cry. I might cry.
All right, so you guys both think Russia would beat us straight up in a toe-to-toe ring match, World War?
Yeah. If
Bang,
it was,
bang, boom.
If it was between any other country,
No, I don't think so. I just don't think they have the military.
Canada, come on.
It's all about the first strike, pal.
Canada
all
or
about
Russia,
the first strike.
give me a break.
The only reason Germany lasted as long as it was that first strike. Now, they didn't win. I agree. But Canada, they'd only have to worry about just the United States. They're not trying to invade the whole fucking, continent here. They're just worried about this country. And I think they could pull it off if they really planned it.
I'd bet you your life savings that
We'd
you're
be
wrong.
asleep and wouldn't be expecting it. And I'm glad you said that because I was thinking the same thing.
All right.
Wow.
What's the next one?
Well, on that note, that was topic. If anyone could beat the U.S., who the hell would it be? And yeah, we had a lot to say about
We
that.
should save religion for last.
Oh, come on. Can we talk about religion?
I don't know.
I want to get to religion, but I want YouTube to be working first. And I have like 6 people texting me saying, why isn't YouTube working? So this is the reason why I didn't want to
Well,
start.
let's do farting in public.
Okay, let's do farting in public because I really didn't want to talk about it. So, Blue, you start with it. Farting in public.
Is farting in public taboo? I mean, we've gotten to a point in our society where a lot of things are allowed. People have sex with people they're not married to. People burp out loud. People
Can't see you.
People are proud of the fact that they aren't, I don't really know. Do you think farting should not be taboo?
No, the first question is to
in
Mo,
society?
is does he fart in public?
Are you?
He's farting right now.
Well,
This is awkward.
yeah, I mean, it's whether you publicize it or not.
I try to sneak them out, but if they get a little loud, I don't care.
Exactly. So why don't you care?
Because it's natural, and it hurts when you hold it in.
But there was a time whenever farting was, if
Yeah.
you farted, I mean, your whole reputation was ruined. You had to go into hiding for at least 10
But that's
years.
when we were kids, and I wish I had the same personality I do back then that I do now, because then I would let them rip, and I'd throw my dirty, nasty underwear in their face.
I mean, let's say that you're going on a date, with someone, with a woman or a man, or whatever you're into. All right, and
Well, I can guarantee you it's not men.
and
Nice try, though.
all right. So it's a first time date, and you're taking them to the movies and stuff, and you're talking
Taking
to them
him?
and stuff, and then all of a sudden you fart, and it's one of those like, and he or she hears it.
He or she.
What is that a deal breaker at this point in time?
For me, it would be if she farted.
If a girl farted in front of you?
I'd probably say I have to go to the restroom, especially if it stunk.
No, wait. What if she's really hot though? She's like a 9 or a 10. She's hot.
Yeah, then I probably would give it a little bit more time.
Really?
Sure, why not?
That wouldn't totally ruin it. What about you? What do you think?
I've never thought about it too much, but I would say, I mean, just hearing you guys go back and forth, I would say probably you should just get it out of the way, and at some point, pull my finger, and if it's a deal breaker, then she ain't worth it,
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
It's a good way to look at it. I mean,
yeah,
that's,
but
that's
here's
for
the
sure.
thing: the farting to where she can hear it, it can be acceptable because you can explain it. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I don't know what's going on. But if you secretly do it and then it like really stinks,
Yeah.
and then she looks at you,
Yeah.
now that's a deal breaker.
A deal breaker for her.
See, but here's another thing though. If you try to hide it and sneak it out, then she'll say, "So what else are you hiding from me?"
I would
Yeah, yeah.
purposely.
Yeah.
We're at dinner at this point, right? This is the hypothetical.
First date.
This is
First date. You're.
This is a blind date. I have to fart really bad in front of this woman. I would
Yeah,
wait until the
yeah.
waiter or waitress comes by and blame it on them.
Oh.
No,
yeah,
no. What if you're out on a date?
How about you
and
get up and go to the
she-
bathroom? I mean, it's that easy.
What if you're out on a date and she farts and a little bit of poop comes out and comes running down her leg?
Oh my God!
It could-
You were out of control.
It could escalate.
Turn his mic off.
It could escalate into something that you don't want anything to do with. That ruins your dinner. It ruins the possible sexual advances that you're going to make towards her later in the evening.
But it's just this whole idea that everybody knows that everybody else farts. Okay,
Yeah.
we realize this. We're all probably farting right now.
There's a
I have
couple
no
women
fucking clue.
upstairs right here that fart.
Yeah, they're farting left and right. I mean, and why can't we be adults about it and just accept the fact that we all fart? What is holding us back from doing this? Is there like some ideal, like some ideal that we
Hey,
have of ourselves?
I've
that we can't
held
do
in
this?
farts at work, okay? And my stomach was killing me like a half hour later. So now I let it, I chew fiber bars or fiber chews, and then it slowly sneaks out as I'm walking. It's like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And let me tell you something.
This is so ridiculous.
Let me tell you something. I've never felt better.
Oh yeah.
Well,
No,
I'm
no.
glad. That's good.
Well,
That's good.
that's what I'm saying is that we quote unquote hold stuff in. I guess the fart is kind of a metaphor for something bigger, like we
Is this really happening?
we hold back so much from one another because we want to live up to this ideal early on in the relations that we have with people. Now, if you're with this hypothetical girl, this first date girl, 5, 6, 10 years down the line, it doesn't matter. You let them rip.
Let me ask you a
You
question.
let them rip.
Okay, I don't necessarily think all of us are the best looking guys, but what if you're with a woman who's not an 8 and she's like a 4, but you like her personality, so you take her out, and then she farts. Now, if you're with a really good looking girl, you're not going to get angry.
It'd probably make
but
a
if
big-
you're
yeah,
with
it'd
a
probably make a
girl
difference.
who you think is a 4, you are going to get pissed, and you're going to want to leave, and you're going to be like, how dare you do that? But the 8, you're like, oh, God.
How dare you do that?
That's great. Oh, my. Why'd you do that? Oh, you look so good. Why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, like, she's kind of messing up the whole...
Candy, are you okay, man?
I'm fine. I'm just
All right.
talking about experience that I had
All right, man.
Wait, whoa. So you had an experience with a girl farting in front of you?
a long time ago.
Really? Let's hear it.
Well, her name was Beverly. We went out to the movies.
Is that,
and,
is that a real name?
it was.
Okay.
And we went out to the movies.
Beverly's always fart a lot.
No, I forgot I forgot which movie we were seeing. But we were watching a movie, and then I heard a small toot. I knew it was her. I didn't want to make her feel bad. I'm like, God, who did that? She's like, I don't know. And I really liked her personality, but at the same time, I was just like, it really, really stunk. And
She had a lot of personality.
I got really angry to the fact to where she asked me for some popcorn, and I said no.
Really?
Yeah.
You denied her the popcorn because she farted.
Well, I just said I can't stand the smell of popcorn.
Or your farts.
And she said, okay. Well, we had a good evening.
How old were you?
I was about 20, something like that. It was when I first started to really get into dating. And, I met her at this bar, and Beverly kind of threw me off. I thought she was joking at the same time.
Yeah, so do
But, she had a really good personality, so I took her out. And then on the first date, she toots. It was her. It stunk. And I'm just like, okay. And then after the movie.
Was she a heavier girl?
Well, no, that's beside the point. She was.
No, but believe me, your weight does make a difference.
No,
if you're fat and you fart, it's like, well, that was fucking expected.
Blue, she was petite, but after the
Okay.
movie, she went to the bathroom and she took a really long time. That's how I knew it was her.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe
Wow. She broke all the cardinal rules there.
maybe she had the nervous poops. That happens. And then instead of pooping, she was
So
trying
you
to-
guys think I was just being a little bit judgmental?
A little bit shallow, perhaps.
But
But it's first date territory.
But I was young. I'm not like that now. If someone did that to me, I'd be like, honey, that's okay. Just be honest about it.
So why is it still taboo then? What do people
No.
feel like?
You brought it up. I don't think it's taboo.
I am bringing it up.
I think if people fart in public, I'm going to look, I'm going to laugh, but then I'm going to go on about my way. I'm not going to stand there and go,
Well, there's someone who I know who, whenever they're at work, and they have to fart, they go into another room to do it. They're not going to do it around their coworkers. They're not going to do it around customers.
well, that's
They go
called
into another room.
that's called respect. And obviously, if I really have to let one rip, or if
around
I
your
can't,
coworkers.
sure.
You're in the same foxhole with them, and
Yeah, but-
you're doing your due diligence. You're making money.
To
And you
end
guys
this-
are feeling
to-
the blood and the sweat,
To
and you can't
end
fart in
this-
front of them.
To end this conversation.
Come
Wow,
on.
Candy. Apparently, Candy's ending the conversation. So
No, between me and Blue here.
Okay.
I will just say that if you're gonna do your business on the floor of wherever it is that you work in front of people, and you're gonna do a sneak attack, you better just hope that it doesn't stink, because if it does, they're gonna know it came from you, and then you got a lot of explaining.
It
to
depends
do.
how many people are around you, though. Like if you're at an airport or the racetrack or something. You can get away with a lot of stuff.
Like the racetrack.
A lot of stuff,
See, I
the
just
hell did that
farted
come
right
from?
now, and no one heard it.
especially around the horses.
No, but I'm gonna
I-
fucking smell it. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
No,
it.
you won't, because I took 2 today. That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
You got to make sure that you clean everything out if you're really gonna fart in public.
Yeah. No, I
Okay. Well, guys. What the hell do you guys want to talk about other than that?
What's the next one?
Is that going to be it? Is farting in public taboo? We didn't really get to the end of it.
No, it's not taboo.
Okay, Blue. Is it taboo? Yes or no?
It still is taboo, and that's why I want to get to the central question: is that what is it about farting? Because we live in an age where people just kind of let it all hang out. People dressed, if you look at the way people dressed in the 1960s, let's say, completely different from the way that they dress now. Women, they wear belly shirts and they got their belly sticking out, for instance. Back in the day, they used to wear, dresses, and they spent 2 hours on their makeup.
Okay.
Completely different culture that we have now, and that's fine. But why don't we take it the extra mile and let people just fart in front of each other? Why is this such a big deal? People fart in front of other people, and they are just devastated. I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen in real life. It's ruined people's lives. And I want to know why it is still taboo.
I would like to know whose lives it ruined, okay? Because everyone has air coming out.
I mean, do you want names? I'm not going to name anybody on the air. I'm just saying that
Let's hear it.
I don't really know where to go with this.
Blue,
I was hoping.
do you fart in public?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I fart in public
All
all
right,
the time.
all right, we're ending this. Mo, is it taboo or not to fart in public? We need to know.
Well, it is, but it shouldn't. It really shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter?
I don't think so.
Okay.
See, that's what Mo said.
I
Shouldn't
think, is farting taboo? No, not really anymore. I mean, people do it all the time. People do it in the class, like, I've heard hundreds of stories from teachers, and I remember even when I was a little kid, okay, in school, like, how many times would kids would try to fart on purpose in the classroom just to try to make other kids laugh?
What class did you go? What?
What the fuck? That happened all
I
the
remember-
time.
That kid was a pariah whenever I was in grade school.
I remember when I used to
He didn't talk to him.
drop stuff accidentally. I used to bend down and pick it up, and I
Yeah, you would always try to pop your ass. Go on.
No, I accidentally farted, and people would be like, "Oh, that's nasty, man! You gotta let those out silent." And I'd be like, "Mm-hmm."
No, people who like either fart or they take a lot of shits and stuff, and people know that they're, that like they would point at this guy like, hey, don't go in after that guy. That guy takes some nasty ass shits. Like it was kind of like they were degrading them, like since you
Yeah.
have smelly shits and you fart a lot, that you're a lower human being.
No,
you're
no,
lower
no, no,
on the
no, no,
evolutionary
no.
scale.
When you go to the bathroom and you do your business, you're walking like, and you look at the guy, you're like, whatever. But you fart in public, oh man, now that's just taboo.
I mean, it's all kind of connected. The way that
Moe's never coming back again.
the way.
This is the reason why I didn't want to bring this up. I wanted to break Mo in, gently.
Okay, we
So-
can end it. Let's go to the next topic.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I've been broken in.
All right, good. Thank you guys for watching us. We really appreciate
He's
this.
farted several times.
This is Going Dutch Radio Network. Watch us live
Somebody did.
every single Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central. That's right, guys. Every single Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central. And please like us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, iTunes. We're on iTunes. Did you guys know that? That's
Yes.
right. If you have an Apple device, go on your iPhone, go on your iPad, and look us up, Going Dutch Radio Network, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Right now, we are not live on YouTube, and it is not our fault. I've tried everything. Sorry that I haven't been talking too much tonight. The reason why I haven't is because I've been trying to get us live on YouTube nonstop, but I'm not going to try anymore. It's a lost cause. But we
Yeah.
are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and iTunes. So
Yeah,
that's all that matters. Jesus,
we
you're
should
loud.
save religion for the second half because that's going to be a long one.
Why don't we save it for next week?
Mo,
since we don't want to talk about it.
Mo, let me ask you
What's
something.
that?
Did you
Yes.
notice that Candy seems to try to control the show?
Well, you've been trying to get us on YouTube.
So
So I
guy's
would
a-
think
He's-
that
he's
perhaps
defending
you would
me.
be in control
Yes,
if you weren't trying to
He-
get us on YouTube.
you are in control. You bring this up every week. I'm just throwing out suggestions.
I love it.
Well, he's quoting several weeks ago, probably a couple months ago, when I said Nick was trying, or
Two more to eat sardines.
Who's that?
Candy was trying to control the show. But you know what? I'm used to it, and I love you. So whichever
You know what? I love you too.
And I like
Blue.
your farts.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we do have a special guest. Right now, his name is Moe Zura. That's right. His first name's Mo. His last name is Zura, and he has a YouTube channel. Look it up, Moe Zura. That's the guy right there.
What's on your YouTube
on the right?
channel, man?
He even has that shirt. And yeah, if you want to promote yourself, talk about yourself, go ahead.
Basically, the YouTube channel is strictly.
It's not anything weird, is it?
It's no.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All I have done so far on the YouTube channel is Christian nature type of videos. So
Okay.
breaking the Bible down, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Like decoding it, or like kind of just like. How many hours have you spent? I'm just curious. Hold on.
A lot of hours.
How many hours have you spent looking at the Bible total?
Oh, many hours.
Like hundreds?
Oh yes,
Thousands?
probably.
We're going to discuss
Lots
that
of
when we
time.
talk about religion.
No pun intended, but holy
Oh,
crap.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, lots of time.
That's a
I
ton.
mean, well, I
That's
mean-
a lot.
There's a lot of people who spend a lot of time on the Bible, and
Isn't there only one Bible? Right. No, I'm not trying to be stupid.
No.
I'm not trying to ask a stupid question. Actually.
Save
Well,
it for religion.
Wait a second. Wait. All right. So we're saving it for religion. This gentleman next to me is an expert on it. Why don't we just talk about it?
Well, because
What are we saying?
Because
I'm
it's the biggest topic of the night.
Well, let's talk about it.
I'm trying to let people understand who Moe Zura is right now because he's a guest on the show.
Well, I would like to know.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, basically what there's what's in the Bible, and then there is, say, conventional Christianity, what is said about, God and Jesus and that kind of thing. And so what I do is, the basic theme of the channel is every video I start, I say, this is where we search the scriptures daily to see if these things are so.
I got you.
Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with, there's a book in the New Testament called the Acts of the Apostles. And it's after Jesus has ascended into heaven, and then his apostles are going out announcing the coming of the kingdom.
Yes.
And when they get to this particular, see the thing is that Jesus was he was the fulfillment of the Hebrew religion. He was from when time began up until the last prophet, which was Malachi. All of that writing, we call it the Old Testament, was all pointing towards the coming of the Messiah.
Okay.
And that was and is Jesus. And so he shows up, he does his thing, and then, he's got his apostles that get sent out to announce the coming of the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so at a point in Acts, it would be in chapter 17, the apostles arrive at this town called Berea. And what is written of them, it says that the Jews that were in Berea were more noble than the ones in this town called Thessalonica. Because when the apostles showed up and started telling them, hey, these scriptures...
How do you remember all this stuff?
This is actually really interesting. I got a couple questions, though.
Sure.
So...
Real quick, talk a little bit closer on the mic.
Okay,
Sorry, you're good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, cool.
But, okay, so then to get to the point about the channel, what is said about the Jews in Berea, it says that they were more noble than the Jews in Thessalonica because when the apostles showed up, the Jews in Berea listened to what they had to say and then searched the scriptures daily to see if what they were saying matched up with what was in, like I said, what we call the Old Testament, and say, because the apostles would say, well, here's this Jesus, and he did all these amazing feats, raising people from the dead and healing the sick and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was crucified, buried, resurrected, and then has ascended into heaven. And they would say that, and then the Bereans were very good about saying, okay, well, let's take this to Scripture and see if it matches up. And everything that they were saying was matching with what the Hebrew Scriptures were saying. And so,
now this is actually very interesting.
Well, no, here's the thing. I know so little about the Bible. So little. I mean, I know these guys are going to have a little bit more insight. So it's almost like as if you're speaking Chinese to me, which it's actually really enjoyable that you can recite that much information just about that little bit of a snippet of the Bible. I mean,
there's so many, there's so many things in the Bible that you go on and on about, and you could take different takes on it. But that's why I really think we should do religion the second half of the show, because it's going to go on for at least a half hour.
So real quick, your YouTube channel, Moe Zura.
yes.
Mo, how many videos you got on the channel right now?
20-something, I think.
Wow. People, look it up. Look it up. All right. What do you want to talk about next? Before somebody has an aneurysm.
Let's just keep talking about religion. I mean,
We should probably we should do one other one.
why don't we sew one of these issues into a religious perspective, like AI? Mo, do you think that artificial intelligence is that talked about in the Bible at all?
No. It's
Okay.
not.
Artificial intelligence? No, I mean that.
No.
How?
I don't know. It depends on your
I would
interpretation.
say IQ test. I would say, do you think
That's
people
pretty, I actually that's an easy one to kind of.
people who preach the Bible and the Word of God should pass IQ tests and be intelligent human beings, or should they just read the Bible and be able to speak about it without any kind of degree or anything like that?
Well, I'm not very familiar with IQ tests, but from what I understand about them, is those tests test a very specific type of knowledge, deductive type of reasoning.
Now you're saying not one type of test should dictate the type of how smart a person is or how that.
There's very intelligent people that would probably do very poorly on IQ tests because of the way that they're designed.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? They're saying, okay, these are the shapes, and which shape doesn't match.
Right.
So that's generally the IQ test that I've seen.
So
it's a very specific kind of knowledge.
I think IQ tests are pointless because of what you just described. Because I've done one before, and they got the blocks and everything like that. I'm like, okay, well, obviously, what is it? I'm supposed to match this up to this?
Let me ask you this: do you not like IQ tests because you did poorly on it?
No, I did fine on it, but I had a learning disorder when I was younger in high school, middle school, whatever, ADHD, whatever. Yeah. But so they tried to figure out what was wrong in my mind, and my mother and father didn't want to put me on any medicine, so they gave me IQ tests, and those were the IQ tests. And I passed them, but it just seemed pointless to me, because what is an IQ test? Am I a child? I mean, what's going on here?
I mean, you got to have something that you use as a measuring stick for whether or not someone is intelligent or not.
Because someone
I agree. I do. Yeah, totally.
The reason why I said that is because people throw
system.
out IQ tests all the time. Well, they should have to pass an IQ test. Well, what the hell is an IQ test? What does it consist of? Mm-hmm. Should IQ tests be different for different things?
There has to be a weight and a measurement. There has to be a measurement for something of smartness, of intelligence.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the IQ test. I mean, maybe it is a very bland test. I don't know.
The problem with pastors, though, with the Bible and everything like that, is I've gone.
How did you go ahead?
You say your concerns. What are you talking about?
It's amazing how you just totally
segue
into
I
that.
think I think he's going to talk about the IQ test of pastors, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
What I'm saying is
whether they're intelligent or not.
I've gone to church for a very long time. I grew up Catholic. At 19, I converted to non-denominational Christian. I went for years. I went on mission trips to Mexico, build houses with youth groups and all that. And I've been a part of a lot of groups who have, spread the word of God and everything like that. And I've read through the Bible, but I can't say I've read through it like you have. But I've been a part of churches for a very long time, and there's only one pastor that ever really got through to me as far as, I guess I could say, entertain me. So, man, this guy's interesting with how he words everything. Mm-hmm. And then I've been a part of pastors who I'm just like, whoa, okay, obviously this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So what qualifies someone to get up in front of a church or a non-church and preach the Bible?
Charisma. That's all it is nowadays. Like Joel Osteen. I mean, do you really think that guy's preaching? Do you know who he is? Right?
I know who he is.
Yeah.
Something
do you
doesn't
think
seem
that he's
real
kind
about
of,
him, though.
Yeah, see, and that's why I have that channel. That's really why I started it, is because I encourage people to to go to their church, because all these churches, they'll have a statement of faith or something.
Right.
And then you listen to the pastor, and then what I say is, take what they say, just like the Jews in Berea,
and throw it away,
and then search the scriptures to see if what they're saying is legit, And what you'll find is like Joel Osteen, you can.
Yeah.
So question everything, understand, go there with an open mind,
It's
but still
a good
question.
philosophy of life is to absorb as much information as you can on a certain topic.
Yes.
And then sift through it.
What about how rich Joel Osteen is?
Yeah, he's rich.
But is it because people who are vulnerable are giving money to him and his church?
I would say that's a lot of it, yes.
But is that right to do?
Does he make that much money?
Yes.
Yeah, he's multi.
He's pretty loaded, yeah.
Absolutely.
So is Kenneth
Wait, which one's
Copeland,
Joel
who I
Osteen?
listen to.
Is that the guy who talks?
Looks like he has plastic surgery on his face.
I just want to tell
Skinny?
you
Yeah.
that
I
all you
think so,
got to
yeah.
do is look up to the Lord, and He will give you everything you need.
He's a very
Oh my
good,
God! You should be one of those people.
No, he's a
You
very
would-
good
you would
speaker,
make a lot
but
of
he
money,
doesn't-
man.
I don't want to go to hell.
He doesn't sound genuine. He doesn't sound like someone that I would want to listen to, because he's not relatable on my level, and
So
probably a lot of
how-
other people's levels.
Well, that's not. I mean, how is he making all this money then?
Easy manipulated people.
Yeah. It's really kind of what it boils down
Scary.
to. What I think
is scary.
just manipulating people.
Not for
Well,
them,
look
though.
at
It's great for them.
look at Jim Jones, how he had everyone commit suicide. You know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
You can't tell me that had a little bit to do with religion.
Well, that had everything to do with the religion.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he was trying to
you know.
build a religion, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of his own.
He successfully built a religion. He had everybody kill themselves for some reason. I don't know why.
Almost
Well, some
everybody.
pe-
Well, they
some
were going to
people
get
he-
caught. I think is what it boiled down to is the feds were closing in on him or something.
Yeah.
But he actually him and his people murdered some people. They took a syringe of poison and they stuck it into a baby's mouth and squirted it in there, and they killed the baby right in front of his
Yeah.
father.
Okay. See, I'm not very familiar with it, but I think, from what I understand, that a lot of those people maybe perhaps didn't even know the Kool-Aid was poisoned.
A lot of people
You know
didn't.
what I'm saying? I don't know if I think they just kind of had it there and then
They trusted Jim Jones and saying, "You take
Yeah.
the Kool-Aid."
Yeah.
They didn't know. They didn't think necessarily you're going to die. They didn't say you're going to die and then you're going to go on to the next level of life. He's like, "You're going to go on this trip. You're going to drink this Kool-Aid, and this whole different thing is going to happen." He didn't say whenever you drink this, you're actually gonna die of poisoning, but it's gonna bring you to a different afterlife that's gonna be better. I don't think he said it that way. I doubt it.
I don't know about that. I'd have to do some research on that because I really think that a lot of them knew that they were
only about 150. I think it was like 100 or 150 or 125 adults, anyone 19 and older, did not purposely take the Kool-Aid because they are like, I know not to do this.
The Heaven's Gate people did the same thing. I mean,
there wasn't that many survivors.
There's quite a few people you can manipulate.
But when you're being manipulated 24/7, it's not like you're going to school for a couple hours about this shit. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like you're being manipulated 24/7 in an environment where Jim Jones is God and that's God. You believe everything he says.
Yes,
as God. Imagine that.
Every one of these topics actually relates to religion.
If farting in public?
No.
It should. It should absolutely relate to it.
No, besides that, I'm talking about
religion covers everything.
Is farting blasphemy?
Come on, I'm talking about
be.
everything you see on the internet that has to do with religion. It's like it makes up people's minds on what they want to believe instead of doing
a lot of it,
real, genuine research.
Well, I and I'm very intrigued with you on your viewpoints on the Bible. I kind of want to ask you a question.
Sure.
What is it that people are missing when they read the Bible, in your opinion?
I would say the very, very biggest thing is that it's really got nothing to do with you individually. What it has to do with is God is transforming the creation, and we're just kind of along for the ride. We're not really, as it would, like you look around the world and it looks like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. But the reality is that God's in complete control, and He's transforming your life whether you're aware of it or not. I would say that Christians are aware that our lives are being transformed, and people that are not in tune, so to speak, are unaware that they're being transformed.
Transformed in what way?
To be we're all being transformed to the perfect individual that God wants us to be. Our perfect self, transformed. It's in the Bible. It says being transformed from glory to glory, and we're being transformed to be more and more like Jesus.
Do you think the people nowadays are better off than they were? Do you feel like contemporary people are better as far as this this evolution? Well, I don't want to put in those words. Do you think that society today is closer to being like Christ than previous societies?
Well, the thing is that as technology progresses, it gets more and more difficult to. I think there's more distractions in a society like today than
temptation.
There were. Yeah, temptations and distractions. In general, there's more distractions going on. So,
So you say everyone goes to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, how is that possible when there's people killing people and everything like that?
Okay, so this
Let's save this for
Break.
the topic. We should take a small break so I can actually get to YouTube.
Yeah.
Because we only got a few more topics to go. We're starting to get deep.
yeah, that's really going to get to the meat
Cliffhanger.
of everything. Yeah.
Yes, and I feel like I did want to do a cliffhanger for once. I didn't. So right now we're talking to Moe Zura. That's right, Moe Zura. That's his YouTube channel, and that's his name. He is a man of God, man of faith.
Pricked.
And do you have any closing words before we take a quick commercial break?
Not really.
Okay. All right, guys. This is Going Dutch Radio Network. Please watch us live every single Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central. That's right, guys. 8 p.m. Central every single Saturday night. We are going to take a 15-minute commercial break, and we will be back with our special guest, Moe Zura. That's right, guys. His name is Moe Zura. We'll be right back. This is Going Dutch Radio Network, and we'll be right back in about 15 minutes.
Guys, I just want to say that I was on YouTube a lot recently. I get on there all the time, and I listen to Michael Bolton. I listen to a lot of different bands, but I was scrolling down, and I typed in Dutch. I just was looking for the movie Dutch, and basically what happened was I saw Dutch Radio Network, which you can find on YouTube.
Yeah.
I started watching it. I enjoyed what I saw, what I heard, and I said, hey, I have to follow these guys, and now I am on the show. I kid you not. Your dreams can come true, and you can be on Dutch Radio Network as a guest. You're not going to be a main star like us, but you can be a guest. That's one of the places you can go to watch Dutch Radio Network is on YouTube. I'm going to let this guy to the left of me tell you where else you can find Dutch Radio Network. Thank you.
be honest, the first time I realized Going Dutch Radio Network was the best podcast, not only in St. Louis of motherfucking Missouri, but in the whole United States and the whole world. It just blew my mind. I mean, it just absolutely blew my mind. They have the best Facebook page ever. I mean, oh my God, I could just go on and on. You know, if you guys ever go on their website, goingdutchradionetwork.com, it is like the best fucking website ever. And I was once on the show, and oh my God, like, I almost passed out. Like, the camera's on me, and I was just feeling so good but nervous, and I was a little hard. But
It's okay. That's the way I felt the first time I was on the show.
Yeah.
Okay? But now I'm kind of a regular on the show, and I really enjoy it. A lot.
You guys are a bunch of Nancy fucking Pantsy boys. Let me tell you something. I listen to Golden Dutch Radio because I like their kind of talk. They talk straight and they talk forward, and that's why I listen to fucking Golden Dutch goddamn radio.
all right, guys, so look up Going Dutch Radio Network, like us on Facebook, and subscribe.
YouTube and Twitch.com.
Whatever they just said.
I'm not falling, I'm just getting started, and I'm finally on my way. This is the end of the old time, and that good luck feeling is what I'm feeling. And I woke up in the morning today. Could be the sunshine in my eyes, could be you right by my side. Things are looking up today. Things are looking up today. I'm not stalling, I just got the call and I'm up and on my way. I'd hit the clock if I had to, but the way I'm feeling, it would be stealing. Missed out on the day. Could be the sunshine in my eyes, could be you right by my side. Things are looking up today. Things are looking up today. Dead staring out the window. Let's get outside, let's go.
All right, guys. This is Going Dutch Radio Network. That's right, guys. Going Dutch Radio Network. I am CJ, your host, and the crew with me today, to the right of me, if you're looking at the camera, it is Blue. How's it going, Blue?
Not bad. Feeling good.
All right.
Feeling pumped up for this.
Wow, good. All right, and to
Fucking
the
pumped. No. Seriously, I'm really pumped.
like, how pumped are you?
Like I am just keep going. Just talk to the other guy. I can't even explain how pumped up I am.
Well, I have a name, Blue.
All right. On that note, the man to the left of me, his name is Candy. How's it going, Candy?
It's going pretty good.
So pumped.
I'm just as pumped as he is. Well, maybe not as pumped. As
I am
he
so
is,
fucking pumped.
but a little pumped.
God, I feel like there's a lot of pumping going on.
I actually have a few questions. I was actually wondering how the show came about, Dutch Radio.
Oh.
You never actually shared it with our viewers. Maybe you have, but I haven't heard anything about it.
Yes. So me, CJ, that's right. I'm CJ, the host. I decided during conception that I wanted to start doing a online podcast where we could do it live at least, once a week and be able to kind of have archived podcasts to watch because I thought it'd be fun to talk about politics, conspiracies, controversies, and so forth. And that's really how it came about, if you want me to be honest. It's that simple. And within about 3 weeks, I think, we got all of the equipment. We got everything. Microphones, mixers, computer software, everything, people. You have no idea how much this shit costs. It's
Including
ridiculous.
the table.
Oh no,
And the
we're
table.
getting a new table.
We're getting a
here
new
soon.
table now?
We are getting a new table, just like we got a new projector.
We're moving up in the world here.
What
We
kind
are.
of table are we going to get? I like this table.
We're gonna get a rectangular table that looks just like this one,
Ooh.
but it's smaller.
Can I put my gum under it? Because that's what I like to do with my gum.
I would advise against that. It has sentimental value to me.
Okay, I won't
It
do
is
that.
my table, but it's our table now for the show.
Can I put my penis on it occasionally?
Speaking of labels and penises, I don't know how that was a good segue. I want to talk about how we got our names on the show, our nicknames on the show. So, Blue, would you like to talk about how you got your nickname? And can you explain it?
It's a very interesting story. I showed up on my first day here, and I was wearing a lot of blue. And then one of the two guys who used to be on the show was like, "Hey, that guy's wearing a lot of blue," so they call me Blue.
That is actually a pretty good name.
I mean, it is, and you don't understand, folks. Blue,
It's better
the-
than my name.
to the right of me, always on the camera. I mean, my God, he has never not worn blue, ever. I don't know
Never.
if it's a
Never
fashion
not worn.
statement or if he's just really into it. But
I'm not a Democrat, though.
anyways, to the camera's left, as always, is Candy. And Candy, how did you get your name? How'd your name come about?
Do you even know?
I know my name.
So,
Okay, it wasn't my choice, but it was kind of interesting the first day at work here because this is kind of work.
Wow.
yeah,
Every
this is
Saturday
this
night.
becoming a job, man.
I said, "What should my nickname be?" You guys were naming out names, and then someone said Candy. I don't know if it was you, CJ, or Blue,
I
but
think it was me.
Was
but-
he?
I was thinking something sweet when I was looking at him, like,
yeah, he's like Candy. So I said, "You know what? That's fine.
Some sweet candy.
It doesn't really matter what my nickname is, but Candy has kind of stuck with me.
right. I mean, I remember Blue first said Blowjob Betty. I'm like, let's go a little,
It
less.
has to be appropriate.
Exactly.
And we can sell candy while we're talking about me.
Right, exactly.
You should sell candy.
All right, guys, don't forget to watch Going Dutch Radio Network. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We are on commercial break. This is Going Dutch Radio Network. Please like and subscribe to us on Facebook and look us up on our own website. That's right, guys. We have a www.goingdutchradionetwork.com. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
sneak a peek in my head, past the promise, past regret, to the place where I hide. You could come inside in your face and your ears, all my hopes and my fears. I'm a freak and a fake. You could take me or leave me. This is true, as true as it needs to be. I found something that works for me well. I'm surrounded by assassins I can't see without my glasses, and I'm afraid they're whispering things about me that are mean from now on. Things might get weird, don't settle in. Or shed a tear, well. You should laugh, you should cry, you could close your eyes and go to sleep and have a dream where you're gentle and sweet and well-fed. I found love and charity. I found something that works for me well. You should laugh, you should cry, you could close your eyes and go to sleep and have a dream where you can't be the thing you
right, guys. We are back from commercial break. This is Going Dutch Radio Network. Thank you guys for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Once again, if you are watching or trying to watch on YouTube, sorry, we're only on Facebook, Twitter, and iTunes right now. YouTube is down. Not our faults. It's YouTube's.
It's never your fault.
Never is. All right, guys. We're back from break. What have we talked about so far? Anybody? Does anybody remember?
Well, let's get to the topics, and I'll tell you what we've talked about.
So nobody remembers?
No, I remember.
Let's hear it.
I need to see the topics.
Okay.
We've talked about is farting in public taboo.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about IQ tests a little bit, along with the internet, as far as in regards to religion and stories. We've talked about which country could beat USA in a world war. But
Okay,
the main topic that we are going to discuss now
Preparation is everything.
religion, and it's probably going to tie into the other maybe 1.5 topics that we have left to talk about. So we can go with religion and tie those in.
All right, guys. So are we officially going to hit religion?
No, why don't we wait until 40 minutes down the line?
No, Blue, we have to do it now. There's
Are
only
you-
40 minutes left.
Are you absolutely sure that we're going to do religion?
We are.
You're sure?
I'm sure. I wanted to end the
Okay.
show with something powerful.
You want to? 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 You want to?
That's what I just
Hey,
said.
Mo. Hey, Mo.
Okay.
Will you slap him real quick? Slap out of it.
You slapped me.
All right, once again, before we start religion, we do have a special guest. His name is Moe Zura, with the YouTube channel Moe Zura. It's that easy, people.
And Moe Zura actually is very educated on religion, more so than any of us. So he is the main reason why we are going to discuss it. So we're probably going to be asking him a lot of questions. And if anyone else has any questions, please call in at the number, CJ.
Yes, the number is 636-926-6945. If we don't answer immediately, we will call you back. I promise. And please comment on Facebook. We greatly appreciate it. All right, guys.
Okay, so the first bullet point is, should religion be in schools? And I'm going to let Moe Zura start talking, and then I'm sure we're all going to have some questions. What do you think?
Reverence. I love the reverence here.
Yeah.
Well, with regard to religion in schools, I mean, it's hard to say because, it's
You think it should be left out, though? Because what is the right religion to teach?
well, not necessarily that, but I mean, once you would get into something, then you would have to talk about everything, and then that would consume the whole day of school rather than reading, writing, and arithmetic and stuff.
But
so.
couldn't that consume just an hour of the school day?
I guess
per
it
day?
could, but then you'd have to. I mean, where would it end? What you would talk about? I mean, you would be talking about.
I don't think it would really end, though.
Well, I mean, real quick. So, like Catholic school, like if you go to private school and you happen to be in, Catholic.
Yeah, but then they go through the whole. I don't know much about Catholicism, even though I originally did go to Catholic churches.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to go through the catechism and all that kind of stuff. And
Same thing here. I grew up Catholic, went to PSR and all that good stuff. But I couldn't tell you down to a T exactly what their religion believes.
Yeah, I mean-
besides like priests and all that stuff.
Yeah. But then, I mean, so in those kind of schools, sure, I mean, they would have that as part of the curriculum. But in a public school, then you'd have to talk about, I mean, think about it, anything that passes as religion nowadays. You know what I mean?
My honest belief system is I think it should be left out of schools and discussed somewhere else. Like, let them.
Man, I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't.
I mean, there's such a lack of emphasis on humanities, in schools nowadays. It's all about science and math. We all gotta, keep up with the Chinese people. I mean, no.
What the hell are you talking about, Blue?
So Chinese people are the only ones good at math and science?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
You're wrong on that one.
Asian people. Okay, how am I wrong? Why don't you tell me
Because
how I'm wrong?
I've seen a lot of people on the TV.
A lot of people specifics on TV.
Yeah.
You're gonna quote TV? Wow, I
Newspaper,
mean that's a great reference.
a lot of white, black scientists and stuff.
Scientists, like I mean, what? Who are we talking about here?
I don't know
I
anyone
mean,
specific,
The fact of the matter is that
but I don't see just
the
Asian
Chinese,
faces.
the Chinese are doing better than we are in science and math. They're very talented, at those particular subjects. And so,
Where are you getting your facts from?
a result, I don't know. I'm just making them up as I go along. But as a result, there is this emphasis on science and math, but we've completely gone away from literature, from humanities, from religion, philosophy, things that really matter about the choices we make in life, the deeper choices.
But here's the thing. Could science is kind of connected to religion.
What?
As far as, well, people believe in
what?
science more than religion. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I
Mo?
mean, I'm
Right now?
a big proponent.
Maybe not in this country.
I'm a big proponent. I'm a big advocate for science.
I don't know about that.
And I am one for science. You know, I don't believe in religion whatsoever. I know it's going to go against a lot of other people at the table. But with that being said, once you go so far down the rabbit hole with science, you do start to realize, no, I don't believe that there is a Jesus necessarily. I don't believe in all these stories. But I do believe that whether I do think it's a crazy Sims game or I do think somehow it was the Big Bang, something still must have turned the switch on. So there has to be, quote unquote, if you want to call it God, a God. So there has to be some higher being.
It's God.
Chances are there is something, but I don't think it's that, the person that looks like Jesus, the 2,000 plus years ago. That's just me personally. But as far as religion should be in schools, it's just like the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so
I don't think that should. No, I don't think that should be either.
But I think the question you have to put forth is how. All right, so the Pledge of Allegiance to me doesn't really do anything for building your character and your humanity.
No, it's a crazy thing you do first thing in the morning.
All right, fine.
It's respect for the military.
Fine, but to compare that to religion, the good aspects of religion, which is love thy brother, I think that's desperately missing from our public schools.
You want to know what I think should be taken out of public schools and what should be put in? Organized religion. Because there's so many different religions that are, in my opinion, made up by man. But I do believe that
they're all made up by man.
I believe there's a God. And I believe this place came from somewhere. So let's not even call it religion. Let's say, where did we come from? And then that can slowly build into God.
It does, and then it builds different subgroups called different religions.
But we don't need those religions.
So you think there should only be one religion?
I don't think there should be any religions.
So I got you. So just think whatever you want to think and then leave everybody else alone.
No, I think people need to make up their own mind what they believe in instead of being so manipulated by Islam, Lutheran, Catholic, Christianity. Or what's the... What's the other one with the Asian religion? Remember that church we went into at one time? What's that called?
Buddhist. Yeah.
There's so many different religions. So let's just talk about God and let's just have that be the end of it.
Yeah, but then there's going to be debate on what aspect of God are we supposed to talk about.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Bible then. In the Bible, Mo, are there any religions mentioned, like all these different religions?
Well, yeah, there are several religions mentioned. There's Baal worship and
Well, let's talk about what's in the Bible then.
Yeah, basically what it boils down to. I for the most part don't like the term religion with regards to Christianity, because to me God is not only he's God. But he has a personality. He is a person, and so what it is it's about a relationship with the Creator. And so, religion to me denotes ritual and things like that, which the Hebrews had. They had a religion. They had a ritual system that they went through, which led to it being consummated in the Messiah, which was Jesus Christ. And then, because of what he did, he opened up everyone to have a relationship with God.
Okay.
So, are you trying to say that? Let me ask you that. Do you go to church?
I do, but
Okay.
I don't attend a I don't, and this gets me in trouble with the church crowd. Is because I go to a Sunday school class, but I don't attend the service. So the church, where I go to church, so to speak,
Right.
There's 2 services,
Right.
and if I show up at 9:00, and there's a Sunday school class that's going on, and then there's other Sunday school classes that go on during that time. But then there's also a service, and then at 10:45 or something, there's another service,
Right.
and then there's other classes that go on. So most people will go to either class and then the service, or they'll go to service and then a class, depending on which class.
You talk about the service where the whole congregation meets.
You go to
and then
church,
they
you sit down,
They'll
you-
do worship songs, and then they'll do.
But you don't go to that.
I do not attend that. No.
Do-
That's a good idea.
Can I ask
is,
why?
Is that to skip out having to put your part in the basket?
No.
Okay,
It's
next
got nothing
question.
to do with that.
Why don't we
See, to me, I see the term church comes from the Greek word
I
ecclesia,
thought it
which
was funny.
means people being called out.
Yeah.
So when you go to the original gatherings of Christians, they would just meet in a house. Somebody, like you did here. You had the skewers, barbecue, and that kind of thing, and then we show up and fellowship and that kind of thing.
That's
Right.
how it should be, though.
That's
what I'm saying. That's
yeah,
what I
so
like.
I go to a
But what
I
we
go
know
to a
about it then.
class where we sit down and we have topics that we talk about, and then that to me is church. And then after that's over with, I leave. And if there's a particular day where they say, okay, there's no classes today, we're just doing one big service, I won't show up. And then when I go, and then sometimes people don't know that I don't go to the service, and then afterwards they'll say, well, we'll see you after the service or whatever. Or, are you going to service? No, I'm not going to the service. And then
do any of them ask you why? I'm just curious.
Some do, but some just give me the evil eye, and you don't go to the service. Like there's something wrong
See,
with me for not going to the
That's
service.
the problem with the people who. It almost seems like, if you said that to me and I love the service, I'd be like, okay, why aren't you going to go? And then you tell me your reason. I say, okay, well, maybe I'll see you afterwards then.
Sure.
But people don't do that. They throw out the evil eye. They judge. They use religion as a justification to treat you the way they think they need to treat you.
Do most people in your church who go to service, do most of them know that you go to classes? You know what I mean? I mean, do most of them know you? I mean, obviously they do.
I know all the people in the class that I
Right.
go to, and then on Wednesday nights I go to a men's group, and some of them know that I don't go to the service, but some of them don't.
Gotcha. I'm wondering if for the people that go to the service, it's kind of like, well, I'm doing my part going to the services. Why doesn't he do it?
Well,
it's probably one of those selfish type of things.
Why is it any of their business? Isn't the relationship supposed to be between you and God?
Because it's not necessarily about the classes. To them, they probably think, well, the service is the whole thing. That's the thing.
But it's not. Let me tell you why.
I'm not saying it is.
But
I'm just saying that's
Mo,
probably.
I think a lot of it is. I get the feeling, anyways, that a lot of it has to do with that the pastor somehow has all the knowledge, and if we don't listen to what he has to say, that we're somehow lesser or not as good of Christians.
Why don't you start your own church then?
He doesn't
I
need
mean,
to-
I could have people over, and
But I
that's
think-
how I would do it. Is I
You
would
should.
I would
You
have
should.
people over and have food and that kind of thing,
But
and then we would do a lesson.
I think what Mo's
and-
trying to say is that if he were to start his own church, he would, or if he start his own thing, whatever, is that he would let people talk and let them preach what their ideals are. What he's trying to say, I think, is he doesn't like that one person at the podium is preaching all this stuff.
It's organized.
And not necessarily it's wrong or bad or right. It's just it's only one ideology, and it's only one way to.
It's bureaucratic.
Yeah, see, I'd say it'd be more. What I like the class that I go to. Someone will have the lesson and they'll do the teaching.
Right.
But we all sort of speak up and say, throw our 2 cents in. And
Can I tell
Yeah.
you something? That would make so many people who are so unwilling to go to churches. And what you're doing, and this is exactly what I believe in, because in a way, I'm not going to say you don't believe in organized religion, but I don't believe in it. To me, that's organized. Having a pastor, people are like, oh, he's the only one who can preach. Instead of what I like personally is when I was coming up with a youth group and I went on trips, mission groups, we all had like a little gathering down by the bonfire. We read a passage. They sang songs, but it was like a small group. There was no church. There was no giving money or anything like that.
Was it organized?
It wasn't organized religion, but it didn't feel like that. But then, like me and Matt, my good friend who lives in Arkansas, he's a big religious person. We used to go to these small group worships with just like maybe 15 people. You actually attended one right after the Jimmy Eat World concert.
I did.
And it was a good time.
Or did
and
I? I don't even remember.
That would make people feel so much more comfortable, and I think you'd be able to reach them on a better level than if they go to a big congregation. That's just my.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That's what I'm
I think it should be more
getting from you.
personal and more just, hey, we're friends and hanging out and talking about this. I
Are
mean,
there
that
any
to me-
are there any people that you go to church with who kind of see it your way, that you've talked to on a personal basis, who think that maybe
Does anybody go to class but does not go to service?
I don't think so.
Ooh, you're
Not
a
that I'm
rebel.
aware of.
You're
Yeah.
a rebel. I like it.
So
Would you like
What
that
church do you go to?
have-
What
It's-
actual religion is it?
it's called.
You don't have to say.
I
it
have
if
to
you
get it
don't want
right
to.
because they change the name, and every now and then I'll
You
use
don't-
the old name, which is
You don't have to use it if you don't want to.
No, it's fine. I don't mind. I
All
mean, it's I think they call it First Free, which is on Carmen Road in Manchester.
Wow.
They used to call it E Free, and now they call it First Free. I think that's how it is. I hope I don't get it backwards because they'll probably not be happy.
Is that the religion though?
Oh, the religion is Christianity. I think it's.
Okay.
I think the denomination comes from some type of Norwegian or Nordic sect or something. And there was a guy that gave me their statement of belief book, and I read it and took a bunch of notes and
Really?
stuff. And yeah, I searched the scriptures daily to see if these things were so,
I
and
like
I
it.
found it
Not to be so.
Yeah. Wait, let's hear it.
not to be so to a degree. And then yeah, I've had some people get what do you come here for? What's your
Ooh.
And then in particular there's a guy I'll just say his name, John MacArthur, and he writes these
Name drop.
No, he's not. He doesn't go to the church. He's he writes study Bibles and stuff.
Gotcha.
And he'll write commentaries. And so, what'll happen in these classes is we'll start talking about stuff, and then someone invariably will say, "Well, what does the John MacArthur commentary say?" And that happened at my men's group one night. We were reading Corinthians or something. We were reading this letter, and I started to say something, and then the guy says, "Well, what does the John MacArthur commentary say?" And he started to read it, and then I said, "Well, that's not scriptural." And then the guy says, "John MacArthur wrote this," and I said, "I really don't care who wrote this. It's not scriptural. It's not biblical. What he's saying." And then the guy says, "Don't you know who John MacArthur is?" And I said, "I really don't care who John MacArthur is." They had this big to
Right.
do.
So they just want you to sit there and listen and not question.
Some people do, yeah. Some
Yeah.
people they take the authority of some guy
They pass it off as
and pass it off as this is his interpretation is it and
see. That's the problem.
yeah.
I personally think, and this is gonna rough some feathers here, but this is
Hopefully not mine.
not yours, Candy.
I'll just say it.
That is one of the things about religion. I don't hate religion. Once again, I've said this many times. I think religion is a good thing. It makes people, go to sleep easier at night.
It's a good set of moral beliefs
It
for
is.
most religions.
It is, and that's why religion.
But a lot of it's inaccurate.
And that's why I think religion worked really, really well, hundreds of years ago, only, even just a couple dozen years ago.
When they
even
were stoning people?
Even thousands of years ago, religion worked really well because life was really bad back then, and you had to just hope that things were better and that things would get better, and you just had to just hope for things that may or may not actually be there because of it. I mean, think about it. Once again, thousands of years ago, people. By the way, your belly button hair is hanging out blue. All right, Mo is not interested.
I'm
Is
sorry.
there a,
Mo.
Anyways,
Oh, go ahead.
totally off topic. I couldn't help it.
Why are you looking down there? That's what's so weird about it.
I look around
Perceptive,
a lot.
very, yeah.
If-
Well, and I know where you're going with this. And the reason people are so into science is because science and mathematics is all that's taught in school. It's what's emphasized. That is held on a pedestal. Humanities, philosophy, religion. It doesn't matter anymore. Even dramatic arts, they don't care about that in school anymore. It's all about science, and that's why people don't give a shit about religion anymore.
I don't think that's
And they
necessarily.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
And they make fun of it too.
Science is definitely a reason why.
Science is ridiculous right now, especially what the physics.
Who makes fun of it though? People who are uneducated.
There's plenty of people who make fun of Christianity and Islam and all these faiths.
It's a fact that the more
They say it's
that
a
I don't make fun
cartoon.
of Islam. I think a big part of Islam, of these extremists killing people, I don't think anyone using their religion to hurt people with their words or kill people or beat people up is right.
It's a very
it
small.
shouldn't be right.
It's a very small percentage of the people who are doing it, though.
No.
And it's blown out of proportion.
No, as far as maybe the killing, yes, but as far as the words hurting people's feelings, it's up there.
Hurting people's
Mo, would
feelings.
You
What
agree?
are you supposed to do? Tiptoe around everybody's feelings?
Well, look at Mo here. I mean,
Maybe it's hurting people's
he's
feelings
talking
'cause
about
you're talking
how
about religion that way.
he's pretty much getting shunned because he doesn't go to the service. You don't think that hurts him a little bit?
But that's
Does
part.
it?
But that's part of the struggle.
I mean, I've been threatened to be kicked out of classes and stuff like that in the past, and like I said, they say, "What do you come here for?" And they think I'm a rabble rouser or something.
Because you don't want to believe exactly what they believe. You want to ask questions, you want to challenge them, and you want a better answer, and you want to have a debate about it.
Wasn't that life? I mean,
What's so wrong about that,
I mean,
though?
that's what life is. It's a struggle. Wasn't Jesus' life kind of a struggle?
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm kind of
every
underestimating that, but-
time someone in church disagrees with you, the majority of them will go against you.
Well, that's what it. I mean, that's what the struggle is that you believe what you truly believe in. You have this vision of what the truth is, and you break away from the church. I mean, that's what happens all the time.
that's the only problem that I truly do have with religion. Not necessarily a problem, but that's the thing that I don't necessarily like about it is that with religion you don't necessarily if you were raised to be, super religious, or you're raised, in a very Catholic, family, whatever, it doesn't, whether it's Catholic or not, I don't care, super religious. Anyways, then you grow up thinking this inside of you. Well, here's the thing. You don't need to have any religion nowadays to be a decent person, I don't think. I mean, I don't think you have to, in order to be a good person, you don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in any religion, any Jesus. I don't think you have to be that type of person to be good.
Yeah, but what makes
I
you a
think
good
there's some-
person? Isn't that
I think there's some missing. if you
isn't
don't
that
believe in
God's
God.
guidance?
No, I don't believe so whatsoever. It's the fact. Here's the thing. It's a natural thing for people to want to survive. If you want to survive, then you have to get along with people, and then you have to do things for people to survive. And if you want to have things, you have to make money and survive. If you don't want to go to jail, then don't break the law, and you'll survive. There's different things you do, so you don't do the wrong thing.
Let me ask you
religion
something.
transcends
For
that
how
practicality.
here's the
you're
thing: for
talking
how
about.
religious people are, and for how many people do believe in hell, most of them do horrible things.
I would agree.
All
with
of them
that.
do. All of them do.
All of them?
Most of them.
That's a generalization.
I'd say. I mean,
What's
really.
a horrible thing, though?
Oh, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Do any of us do horrible things?
Yeah, it's so interesting how many old people, like, how fucking religious they are. They're like, I cannot believe that Susie, my granddaughter, who is 23 years old right now, is living with a man, and they're not married. I cannot believe it. And they're gambling their entire retirement away as they speak, as they're saying that
That's
at
not
a fucking casino.
That's not horrible.
But
What's the-
gambling is not. I don't think is not a good thing in most religious beliefs, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mo? I mean,
Well, what's your opinion on premarital relations?
Oh, I think that is not, sex is something in the confines of a marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So-
what it's for. It's for
so it's a sin. Is one sin worse than the other to you? I'm just curious. I'm not trying to pinpoint you or
well.
to
here's
most.
the thing. Here's the thing. Like when you see, this is one of the beefs I have with, say, say most churchgoers or a lot of Christianity, mainstream Christianity, is that one of the things that Jesus makes very clear is that the more you know, the more accountable you are. Whereas they flip it the other way, and they say the less you know, the more accountable you are. So atheists, and most atheists, quite frankly, they go the science path or the non-religious path or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
they're ignorant of God, and so from what I understand Jesus to be saying, he says the less you know, the less you are accountable. The more you know, the more you are accountable. An atheist who knows nothing of God, or some person living on a deserted island, in the middle of nowhere, he knows nothing of Jesus. He knows nothing of God. He's held to whatever standard of life he lives in and of himself, because he has no knowledge.
He
of anything.
He didn't have the right to even. he didn't have
Whereas
any knowledge.
someone
I
like
gotcha.
me, I read the Bible every day and I'm into it, and I know what God expects of me, so I am held to a much higher standard, right? So like
To spread his
Jesus'
word.
beef was with the religious leaders of his day, because they knew the scriptures backwards and forwards, and they knew everything, and they were not generous. They were not merciful, and they were not what's the word I'm looking for? Charitable and that kind of thing to the general public. They thought they were better than everybody and that
Right.
kind of a thing.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. So, like the 7 sins and all that, so people who are not living in God's image, you say everyone goes to heaven. How is that possible if someone's not doing what he wants them to do?
Well, because the thing is that God,
Is God a woman or a man?
well, God is God, and I would in the terms of the Bible, He's considered our Father. Okay, and so that would be too much to go into right now. That dynamic right now, because I mean we could get there one of these days, but yeah, that's too much. He's our Father. He's our parent. So. I mean, think about how we treat our children. We want them to learn. We want to teach them. We don't just. I would hope that people would not have the idea that if my child doesn't turn out how I want, that I would, wish eternal
Send them
damnation on them.
Yeah,
you know what I
shun
mean? That's-
them, and then you wish.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's no way. I mean, that's way out of God's character. You read the Bible back cover to cover, you will never find that concept in there where He's just going to abandon people to endless misery.
Well, and given that he's an atheist, you said that he's
I'm agnostic.
he all right.
He
So
doesn't know what he believes.
So he's
yeah, it's
so you're talking about a particular knowledge that people who believe in God and Jesus have, that people who don't believe in them don't have. That they're sort of, for lack of a better term, ignorant of what someone who is enlightened.
yeah.
You're,
the thing is that-
You're saying I'm
He-
being super ignorant
he
about
is
it because
missing something.
I've had many opportunities. I mean, for instance, he's talking right now about it, and I'm going against the grain. But
Yeah.
he's talking about like if someone was born on an island by themselves, and then he had his whole life to raise himself, and he was able to do that. No one would be able to teach them religion, so they shouldn't be shunned for it.
They would have no idea about Jesus. There'd be
Well,
no way
that sounds
for
like
them
a
to know about
metaphor,
Jesus.
though. I'm talking about like right now in contemporary life. You're suggesting that he has, and I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible. He has a lot. He has quite a road of knowledge to drive on to arrive at what the truth is about religion. And I'm not trying to start a conflict. I'm
Yeah, but
just
here-
trying to look at the.
I think
No, I understand what
I
you're
think it's
saying.
What you're
important.
trying to say.
I think it's important to understand that. Okay, we'll start with some of the things that Paul wrote in his letters, which he says, and this is a lot of this is most of what he wrote. He just takes out of the Old Testament. That men are made obstinately opposed to God's will. He made us to be obstinately opposed to His will. He made us to be subject to vanity. And so, in my videos, a lot of what I'll talk about is, Adam and Eve. What kind of a life did they have? Now, the fruit that they ate was the knowledge of good and evil. So before that, they had no moral or ethical dynamic in their life at all. And it's impossible for us to fathom that, because what would our existence be with no moral dynamics, right? I mean, we would just eat and what, we would have no. So when they men were made to be disobedient to God, and it's all a part of His plan. So when they eat this fruit, they gain the knowledge of good and evil,
Right.
and then everything goes wacko because they have this entire range of morals and ethics all of a sudden pressed upon them, right? And that's what we have. Think of all the range of the most hideous things you can imagine and the greatest things you can imagine, the most good things. And we have that to deal with. Plus, we are made opposed to God. So this is the whole thing about transformation. He wakes each of us up. See, everything comes from God. Our faith comes from God. So the thing is that and He's working through this paradoxical creation that He's made, where we're made opposed to Him, but we learn how to be we learn how to be obedient to God. And like when Jesus said, the meek shall inherit the earth. People think a meek is someone who's like a waif, but the term meek is actually a horse training term, to where a horse. Think about a horse. A wild horse is just flying through the countryside. You take a horse and you break it, right? And you put the bit in its mouth and you make it obedient to you. That's meeking a horse, is having the horse under your control, under your reins, to where it'll do whatever the master wants it to do. That's what
Right.
that term meek means. So you become meeked by God by Him, restraining you and
Installing knowledge into you.
So maybe people. Should everybody be meeked?
yes, and that's the goal is for everybody to be meeked, and then He sends us out who have been meeked
Yeah.
to go out and preach the word to those who don't know.
I got you.
And that's our duty. And then as we learn more about Him, we become more accountable. And hey, why aren't you going out and telling people about me and that kind of thing?
Okay.
So someone who is meek, quote unquote, could also be, I'm meeked. What kind of person would that be exactly? Are they sort of non-confrontational? Are they, more submissive than the average person? I mean, what kind of person are we talking about?
They're actually a very hardened person because, like that term that comes from Greek, I forget what the word is, but it actually means a very formidable horse. That's like a war horse that will, ride out into battle and not flinch as these arrows and what have you are coming at it. So it's a very hardened person.
Wow. So it's the opposite of I guess what the commercial idea of Jesus would be. Jesus, the way that I saw Jesus is that He's a guy who He would just
He'll forgive and forget.
yeah, He would let somebody just beat him up.
I hate you know what I hate.
You know what I mean? Like I mean,
you know what I hate the term
he's
is
not.
God-fearing man. Whenever I hear that literally makes me want to throw up. I hate that. Are you God-fearing man? Oh my God, that literally makes me just want to just do everything horrible to anybody. It's just you shouldn't fear somebody. That's a bad way to live anything. Like you shouldn't fear anything. You shouldn't fear. You should fear falling off a cliff, of course, but you should never fear anything in life. Otherwise, it's going to stop you from doing possibly good things. Sometimes you got to do bad things in order to have good things actually happen later on in life. Sorry, go ahead.
With in regards to Jesus and
How about that?
and me
I like
as a Christian, I've always kind of wondered, like, if you're trying to be like Jesus was, what kind of person are you exactly?
Well,
does that mean?
Jesus was very. It says that the Bible says that he understood our infirmities because he came and lived in flesh, right? He was made incarnate, and so He learned how to overcome through His trials. He was tempted in every way in which all of us are, except He never sinned, right? So he was whatever temptations we have, he felt all the same temptations, but he never sinned. So when you look at him just look at the way he deals with people. Like if the woman taken in adultery, right? The Jewish leaders show up and they throw this woman out in the public square or whatever, and they're going to stone her to death, right? And she's, obviously she's adulterous. She's having affairs and all this kind of stuff, and
she's a
and
whore,
sexually promiscuous. Yeah, a whore. And so then these guys are going to stone her, and Jesus says, "Look, the first one of you, whoever is without sin, throw the first rock," and then eventually they all just walk away, right? So then he says, "Now where'd your accusers go?" Well, they've all left, and he says, "Well, neither do I accuse you. Now go and sin no more." So then he showed her mercy. See, the average, the general public, he's very merciful to. And as they grew in knowledge and of what God expected of them, like the Pharisees, the scribes, and the leaders of the Jews, they knew the scriptures, and so if you read like Matthew 23, I mean, he just rips on them. He says, "You guys are, the judgment of God is coming down on you."
But let's say, all right, we're gonna look at a normal person, everyday life. Let's say you got to go to work. You got to go work to make money. What kind of person are you at work? Are you going to be a go-getter? Are you going to just kind of let?
Oh yeah.
Really?
You have to be. Yeah. You have to.
If you're Christ-like, you're going to try to get the bigger. You're going to try to make more money every year. Or, I mean,
well, what are you supposed to do? He makes it a point of being a steward over what you are.
You have to
given.
survive.
He talks a lot about being a good steward over what you're given, what you're responsible for, what you're entrusted with. You have to do the very best with what you've been entrusted with. So he spoke in parables, which are stories to illustrate points, and he does where people are given a certain amount of money and what they do with it, and then one guy turns
supposed
his
to make
money,
more money if you're Jesus.
One guy turns his money into more money. One guy
gotcha.
turns his money into a little bit more money, and one guy just buries it in the ground and says, "Here, you gave me this 1 penny.
right?
Here's your penny back."
Right.
And the master says, "You're a lazy slob,"
So all right. So let's say hypothetically, you're this guy. You're at a job, so you're supposed to try to make more money.
You're trying to do the
your
best job you possibly can. Yeah.
And then you make more money, and then what do you do with the money? Do you just spend it on
you
boats
be a
and
good
stuff,
steward
or
of
what
it.
do you do?
You go to Applebee's, you get the 2 for $20, and then you save your money.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you be a good
You put
steward
it
of it.
in the bank,
Yeah.
or what, I mean,
Spend it on like a house and things.
I mean,
that
what
will
is-
make you
no.
survive?
I
What
think
is-
I would say
what
I would
does
say
money
take care of
mean-
your
Don't
I would
give
say
me
take
that.
care of your necessities, and
I mean, that is one thing I've always had difficulty with in my own life is in the context of Christianity, what does money mean? Because he talks about give to the poor, wash their feet, be out there with the people who are suffering.
Okay, I'm not
and yet
religious. Hold
we're
on,
all-
hold on,
I mean,
wait.
come on, What are we supposed to do?
He's talking about he says something in the Bible about rich people.
Sure.
What is that? Easier than a rich man to enter the kingdom. That's what he's getting at.
Well, kind of, not
Well, because
necessarily
the
that,
thing is
but I'm
that
just saying.
the thing is that like I was saying earlier, with we're put in this body. The body we're in is a fleshy body.
It's a
and the
carcass.
the flesh is at enmity with God. We want to be visually pleased, and we like food and all this kind of stuff, all this sort of tactile sensory stuff. We want to be pleased that way naturally, but we have to understand that we're spiritual beings at heart, and we can only please God spiritually because He is spirit.
Right, and I can absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
The difference between your conscious self or your, I don't really believe in this. Your quote unquote soul versus materialistic things that make you happy and what really makes you happy in life. Money doesn't make you happy in life, but once again, if you don't have any money, then your life's probably gonna be bad. But there's some questions I want to ask you, and guys, right now, you are watching Going Nuts Radio Network. We go live every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central. We're talking about religion. We have Moe Zura. That's right. His first name's Mo. His last name is Zura. He has a channel. Guess what it's called? Moe Zura. That's right. He is on here for the first time. Real quick, I just want to ask you, How do you like the show? How do you like the podcast so far?
It's
Be
been
honest.
fun. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a little bit nerve-wracking first coming on? Like, what's going to happen? How's this gonna feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's always something new. There's a little bit of nerves to it, but
does it feel better than you thought it was going to be, or worse?
Are you comfortable?
Oh, I'm comfortable. Yeah, I'm having fun. Yeah.
There you go.
Do you need
It's
a
a good
pad
time.
for that chair?
No.
Okay.
No, that's nice.
Do you need a bucket to pee in?
No.
Okay.
I did want to get his opinion on something that's in one of the bullet points.
Real quick. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
want to ask some really basic questions
Sure.
about religion for
Okay.
people like me
Yeah.
and a lot of others that won't know. I'm sorry.
Huh? What?
Don't show your belly again.
Yeah, you need to give him some clarity on some things because
No,
I
well,
do
no,
think
no.
CJ's a little closed-minded when it comes to religion. That's
No,
just-
it's
I
not
don't-
necessarily close-minded.
Well, no, what-
I was not taught religion whatsoever. I never went to a church once from the time. Well, I was baptized. After that, that was it. I never went to a church unless I was forced to for a funeral.
But would you go if I said, "Hey, will you go to church with me on Sunday?"
No.
Why?
Well,
Yeah,
and
because it's
Mo,
ridiculous.
Mo,
Okay.
but you know, I don't want to stay on this topic, but
this
it's,
is the topic.
well, no,
This is the whole topic you want to get on. But let me
I'm
ask some basic
talking about
questions.
no,
I think
no,
he's talking about
I,
money.
the whole concept of money. I mean, to me, the way that I always looked at it is that Jesus was not a big fan of money. He felt that money corrupted people. It made people screw people over to
It
get
does.
more money. I mean,
But not everyone.
But you're saying at the same time, do a really good job, try to make more money in your job. I mean, but at the same time, you're taking money from somebody else. Like, I
But
mean,
you're doing honest work, though.
is there a socialist aspect to Christianity that I mean, it's very controversial, I suppose, but should people all kind of like live equally, or is that just impossible?
Well, I think what it is that we need to know what our calling is as Christians, and then do our best to sort of assess what we're doing with our resources. So, our thing is to go out and do the best job we can to, whoever we're working for, if we have a job that we're working for someone, to make them the most profit or whatever that we can, because that's what they're for. They're
They're trying to make
profit.
more money.
Yeah, they're trying to make more money, and so we're trying to do that and do the best we can for them that way, and then with whatever we earn, to be good stewards with what we've earned.
Mhm.
Whatever wage we were paid. I live modestly. I live in an apartment, and take care of groceries and that kind of thing, and have a modest car, and try to be as generous beyond that as I can with whatever, helping people out in whatever way I can, so.
Blue, I think if you came into money, you'd be a very good person with it. I think a lot of people are not good people when it comes to money, but the majority of people like us, if we came into money, I think we would do good things with it.
Well,
I feel like hold on real quick. I feel like the more money you make, chances are the less religious you'll be, and I feel like the less money you have, the more religious you are. That's just
probably
me
very-
personally.
That's probably very true.
I bet you if there was a graph to somehow statistically measure that, I would bet almost my life on it that it would probably follow that.
First of all,
I do know some very
What?
wealthy people, though, that live modestly and are very generous with their.
was his name Joel? What's that last name?
Osteen.
Is that it?
if I came
Not
in,
him.
Okay.
if I came in, say I won the lottery, won a few $1,000,000,
Hope you don't.
I would.
It
do
would
good-
not be good for Candy. I'm telling you, he would.
do what?
He would be on. He would be on a crazy cocaine binge.
No, I wouldn't. No, I would do good with it. I've already said that.
run about this?
If I was,
Do you ever
gonna give-
donate to homeless people who are asking for the money on the side of the road?
No,
or do you judge them?
I give them food. I don't judge them. I give them stuff that is going to fill their bellies. I did on the way into Busch Stadium one time. There's a homeless guy standing right next to a pretzel stand. I bought him a pretzel,
Good.
and I gave it to him, and I gave him water.
Good.
But I'm not going to give them money.
Good.
Because I don't want them buying booze with it or anything like that. Yes, that is judgmental, but come on, let's be honest.
What the booze
and
makes
I
them
would- and I
happy,
s-
though.
and I
Let's
say
be
that
honest.
I would say that that's not necessarily being judgmental, because I think what it is it's being a good steward with what you're providing them food. They need food. Give them
I have
food.
no problem giving a homeless person food,
Yeah.
or a soda or a water
That's
or
beer-
whatever.
That's reasonable.
Beer
to me,
could
yeah.
be food, though.
Perfectly.
I mean, it does have calories in it.
Fucking Blue, come on,
It's
man.
not.
All right,
Come
what
on.
if they're going through withdrawal, and if they don't have a beer, they're gonna die?
Then they need to be going to the emergency room.
Well, I
I
mean, they could
honestly,
die if they don't have that
honestly
beer.
don't know what to do because you know what.
Big
the fact is,
questions.
if I had a lot of money, I would take care of kids with cancer, give to those kind of charities. Okay, people who don't have the choices and who are dying of something that they couldn't control, I would give to people like that. Okay,
I'd go after the people who had processed foods. I'll tell you that.
I-
All the
I-
shit they put in those foods.
I would be good
wow.
with money.
That's probably what's
and
causing
I don't
all the
think
cancer.
I actually think because I wasn't born into money. I was born into a good home, a good family, but I never really had money. I don't have money. But if I came into money, I think I would do a lot of good things with it
So
I
because
just
of
feel
where
like,
I came from.
I feel like as beautiful a religion as Christianity is, Christians aren't doing enough. They do whatever they think they're supposed to do. They put some money on the plate, or they might donate to a charity, and that's it. And they feel great about themselves. They aren't trying to actually correct the corruption and the evil that is going on in this world today.
no,
They
'cause
don't
And that's
do
and
it.
that's I get into that a lot where I go to church. And,
Yeah.
and I do think and people don't like hearing it, but I say most Christians are very lazy.
Yeah, and then and then their rebuttal is, well, you don't go to class or you don't go to service, and they're like, well,
Yeah,
I don't go to
and,
service
yeah.
because you guys are retards.
And yeah, and that's supposed to mean something. Right?
Yeah, but I think
Sorry.
in
Good thing we're not on YouTube.
to give you a
I agree.
compliment, Mo, I think you handle things differently. I don't really see you getting really angry with people and calling them retards or anything like that. I think no. I'm just trying to say that there's people.
I didn't put words in his mouth.
And trust me, I get very angry, and it's very hard for me not to name call. But with you do it in a way to where it's nice, and it's good to have people like that out there because then, if they come back at you, then you know you've done everything you possibly can, and you're going to keep trying, and you're going to do what you're going to be a good steward as long as you can.
So let me ask a few things about religion. Yes, guys, we are talking about religion right now. If you have any comments, or
I do
thoughts,
have 2 questions after he says something.
So once again, if you do have any comments or thoughts, please comment on Facebook, please, and or call us 636-926-6945. We're waiting for our first caller. Caller number 1. Let me ask some really basic questions about Christianity.
Sure.
When was this Bible? Is this Bible named? Like, is it the New
What do you mean?
Testament?
Well, the
Or
thing
the-
is that the Bible was written over thousands of years.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I was wondering. So that's what I was going to ask you next. So, how about the one that normally everyone talks about in most churches, like the main Bible that's in every hotel room? Which one is that?
Probably the New
I mean,
Testament.
well,
chances are.
there's different translations, and probably the most well-known translation is the King James.
The King James. Okay,
King James version, which was commissioned in like 1611 or something like that.
1611. Okay,
Yes.
so most of the things that are in that book,
Mhm.
most of the stories, most of whatever's in that book, when were those stories written into a different book? You know what I mean? Like, when were these stories
Well, see-
created, and when were those stories? How many? This is the only thing I don't like about, especially with not religion, but stories from that many thousands of years ago.
Mhm.
It's hard for people today. What do they call it? Phone tag, or if I tell you something, and then you tell him something, you just do that like to 5 different people. It will not be the same thing. It won't be. It
And that's-
may not even be the same category.
That's what's so
something-
amazing about it is that all these different people had kind of a similar representation of Jesus Christ.
Maybe that's how religion branched out to so many different religions.
Well, the thing is that's something to look into. And I encourage people to check stuff out, rather than, try to get so detailed. Sometimes I'll get detailed in what I say, but sometimes I'll kind of throw just a few morsels out there and say, look, you should check this out.
Right.
So, with regards to the Old Testament books were written in Hebrew and Aramaic, largely, mostly Hebrew, and then the New Testament was everything in that is written in Greek, and those are very descriptive languages.
I heard it's like almost impossible to even translate, right? One of them,
No.
I don't know if it's
No.
Hebrew or Greek. I don't know where I'm hearing that from, but it's very difficult to like try to translate that many years ago.
Well,
I
the
could be
thing is
wrong,
that
but-
if you look at this is something, and like I said, this is something to check out. If you look at all the manuscripts, okay, so take ancient writings like Homer's Odyssey or something like that, right? Or the Iliad or whatever. There's so many manuscripts that they translated. You know, if they're going to publish a Homer's Odyssey or Homer's Iliad, you know, and then they look at these manuscripts, there's like a handful of them. If you go to the biblical manuscripts, there's thousands of them because it's been reproduced so much through time, and all of them, all the thousands of them are within, you know, phrases of each other.
Really?
So it's very accurate, you know.
So who's writing this book? Who's writing in this book?
Typically, it'll be the name of the person who's on. You know, like Isaiah was written by a guy named Isaiah, and he wrote prophecies.
Literally, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty interesting to me. So how many different small authors are in this Bible, roughly? I mean, is it hundreds? I mean, or is it dozens?
I think it's dozens. I'm not
Okay.
certain, but I think it's dozens.
What do you
that
think
many?
of?
There's 66 books in the Bible, and I think it's dozens of people. Like most of the New Testament was written by this guy named Paul.
So are any of the authors, like, not saying they're bad authors, they're bad at, you know, writing, but like, are any of them like bad people? Like, I'm not trying to be dumb. Like, people. I mean, is there any of them written by kings? Like, is there any? I've heard of that. Like kings that have written one.
David.
King James Bible.
Well, David.
Right. I mean, that sounds.
Okay,
a
here,
little
check this
corrupt.
out. This is something that'll interest you. David, he was king of Israel.
Mhm.
Okay, now you know he was a shepherd boy, and how he got his claim to fame was the Hebrews had a standoff with the Philistines, and there was this enormous fella named Goliath, right? And he was about 10.5 feet tall. He was a giant dude, and he had a spear. I mean, it was enormous.
How long ago was this?
This was thousands of years ago.
Which is actually possible because people are 10.5 feet tall. That actually is technically possible. I will admit that.
Yeah.
I'll go on to that later.
So you got Goliath, right? And he's really giving the Hebrews a hard time, right? He's giving Israel a real hard time, and they're like, we don't have anybody that can take this guy, right?
And this is supposed to be real. This is
Oh,
supposed
it's
to
real.
be. This is a real
this is
story you're talking about. Like
for
this
real.
this
Yeah.
actually freaking happened.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So David's a little shepherd boy. He's probably, I don't know, 12 something. He's a kid,
Okay.
and he hears about this, and he shows up at the battlefield, right? And he's a kid, so what does he got? He's got a sling. That's his thing, right? And so this guy, Goliath, right? He's standing there and he says, "Okay, you got the whole nation of Israel, right? And you sent me this little kid, right?" And he's like, he's insulted. And so David looks at him. He says, "Look, I serve the God of creation. I serve the Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm done with you, I'm going to chop your head off and feed your body to the crows." Basically, is what he tells him. And so Goliath's like, okay, this little boy. So David takes his little sling, right, and nails him in the head, and it knocks him kind of senseless.
Mm-hmm.
And he topples over, and then David runs up and grabs Goliath's sword and whacks his head off. And then he later on became the king of Israel. Okay.
So with that being
So
said,
that defeated their whole nation. That one little fight.
That shamed the Philistines, right?
Interesting.
that is. I mean that it's. This is the reason why I
So
think
wait. So
now-
David beat Goliath, and then they
the 10.5
said,
feet tall guy.
They
Yeah.
said, "Take over everything now. You've shamed us.
Well,
We're gonna
not
retreat."
necessarily that, but the thing is that like
If this kid did this, then obviously
with Israel,
they
what
got
it
a name,
was is
they got a friend named Jesus.
with Israel, this was before Jesus.
Oh, damn it.
It was manifest in the flesh, anyways.
Sorry.
So with Israel, their
You really don't
thing
know
was
anything.
if they were obedient to God, then a dozen of them could take out 1,000 of somebody else's army. But if they were not obedient to God, then a dozen of somebody else could take out 10,000 of them. I mean, it's because it was that was the relationship they had with God.
Let me ask you this. This is going to sound really fucking shitty. This is going to be a really shitty question. You ready?
Go ahead.
Do you look at Jewish people like a little bit less than everybody else because Jewish people killed Jesus? I mean that in a real serious question because I thought about that a million times, and I'm not religious.
That's a tough question.
Because Jews killed the savior of Earth, of humankind.
He was also a Jew.
Okay, check this out.
I know.
All right?
But
now this you've opened up a can right here because this is the thing.
Not a pain can.
I'm serious. People are going to get mad, and I'm just telling you right now.
I'm not going to get mad.
No, but like church people are going to get really mad.
Do it.
The Hebrews of the Bible have absolutely nothing to do with the Jews of today, right? Like there's a country on the other side of the world called Israel.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with the Bible at all. So, and that's going to offend some people, but it really doesn't. Because if you think about it, look at it this way. And I've said this a few times on my channel. So Jesus is born, and there's a king Herod. And he wanted, he felt as if he was going to be a threat to him as the king of Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he commanded for all the children to be killed, right? And so Mary and Joseph take Jesus and they flee to Egypt to hide from Herod, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to go to Egypt and hide, they have to blend in. So if you think about what Egyptians looked like 2,000 years ago, that's what Jesus and his, and Joseph and then his mother Mary, they would have had to have blended in Egypt.
Right.
So they would have had to have been dark complected with black hair, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the people in Israel nowadays don't look like that. They're white Europeans. So, and you see that on TV, right? They'll have they do it all the time in these Jesus movies. It's some blue-eyed, pasty white fella
who's what
that's playing Jesus, and then you sit there, and I can't watch some of this stuff because to me it's historically inaccurate.
What do you think you're
of,
literally in the desert, right? So which means you're going to be darker, right?
See,
Sorry, go ahead, Blue.
And the thing is that Israel is in Africa. It's on the African continent.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about World War II, the Holocaust, and all that? Do you think that that's biblically?
That has nothing to do with the Bible.
That has nothing to do with the Bible at all.
No.
Even though it is on an epic scale, I mean, it was, and clearly we don't know all the facts, but that's not anything. That's not a good versus evil scenario to you.
Well, it's a good versus evil scenario, of course. But as far as biblical, no, it's got nothing to do with the Bible. No.
I actually have two things that are going for the bullet points. Is number one is you said earlier when we weren't on the show that there's not a hell anymore.
Correct.
And then
wait, anymore? So there was a hell.
There was,
but so many people were going that they had to shut it.
No.
off?
No. You have to understand what hell is.
Describe that a little bit.
Okay.
Before I hit my next question.
So hell is an English word. Okay, and so. This is what got me on this is, I'd been involved with the street preaching crowd and all this stuff, and we would go out and you hand out these tracts, right? These pieces of paper that people can read and stuff like that and take home with them. And I always wanted to have the best possible tract I could come up with. We're trying to, because these people are always like, oh, we gotta save souls from hell and all this stuff, right? So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to research this, and I'm going to find the best possible tract I can come up with to say, this is why you have to believe in Jesus, because otherwise you're going to wind up being tortured forever, right?
You're going to burn.
Yeah, you're going to burn, you're going to be tormented forever and all this stuff, and it's not going to be good. So I started reading through the Bible, and I can't find anything that's just concrete on this at all. And I was in the book of Acts, and Peter, he's up and he's talking, and he says, where's the patriarch David? And this is David, the king, right? And he says, he has not ascended into heaven. His sepulcher remains with us until this day, right? And throughout the Psalms, because David wrote most of the Psalms, he says
Most
stuff
of the
about
what? Say that again.
Psalms.
Psalms.
Psalms. P-S-A-L-M-S.
I got you.
They're
I
basically
gotcha.
songs. They're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
poems.
yeah. I got you now. I sorry. That
And
didn't
in
understand.
these Psalms, he'll say stuff like, King James translation, "Oh Lord, don't leave my soul in hell," right? And so I start looking into this, and also Jesus, he's talking with this guy named Nicodemus in the 3rd chapter of John, and he says, "No one has ascended into heaven except the Son of Man," which is himself, "who is in heaven." So he was saying that, and who came down from heaven and is in heaven. So he was saying that he was the only one who has been to heaven, and he came down from heaven and is still in heaven, because he was dual citizenship on the earth in the flesh, but yet also seated in heaven, right? So I'm sitting there going, okay, no one's ascended into heaven. So then when you start reading in the Bible and you get all the way to Revelation, which is the book that nobody wants to talk about this book in church. They're so afraid of it.
I love that book.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a great
great
book.
It's the best book.
Yeah.
And they don't, it's always, I mean, you want to start a fight in church, just start talking about Revelation, and they'll just want to fight you.
Because they're afraid of death.
They're afraid of all this stuff, and they think Judgment Day and all this kind of stuff and whatever.
So it's
So here's the deal. You start investigating this stuff, and then what you find out when you study the Hebrew religion is that, okay, because of sin, see, here's the thing. Death is not your physical body dying. Death is being separated spiritually from God. And everybody died. Everybody is dead, right? Everybody is separated from God. So what you get is because of that, when people died physically, their souls could not go to heaven because of sin and being separated from God. So they went under the earth to a place called, in Hebrew, Sheol. And in the Greek, the term is Hades. And in English, the word is hell. And so all the souls were piling up in this place under the earth.
It's not Hollow Earth, is it?
Huh?
Hollow Earth?
No, it just
Okay,
it
go
was
on.
a realm, and the word Sheol or Hades or hell, all it means is unseen. That's what the word means. It means unseen, because when you're physically dead, you can't see your soul, right? So that's the realm where all the unseen
Now,
people go.
who said that? Who wrote this story? That is God telling this person who wrote the story that was happening?
Well,
Or
that's
I
what
mean,
happens. I mean, it'll say through the Psalms that that Sheol was getting larger because of all the souls that were piling up in Sheol, right? Because
Yeah.
as everybody died, they kept piling up in Sheol, and because no one could go to heaven. And see, this is the thing. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me." Now, the religious crowd will tell you, well, what that means is that unless you believe in Jesus, you're not going to heaven. You're going to hell, meaning a place of torment, right?
Yeah, either go to point A or point B.
Yeah.
Better go to point A.
But the reason why he said that is because no one could go to heaven because of death, because of the sin and separation from God. So when Jesus went to the cross, and here's the thing about the cross, is that people say, well, he suffered the wrath of God on the cross, but he really suffered the wrath of man on the cross, and it really shows the love of God. The cross is really shows the love of God on the cross, because when Jesus was, he's crucified, he's on the cross, right? He says, and all the people are jeering and mocking him, right? He says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." They're ignorant. They don't know what they're doing. They have no idea what they're doing. And that goes to the whole ignorance thing that I was talking about earlier. And later on in the letters of Paul, he says that was where God was conciliating the world to him. And reconciliation is when two people agree to get along, right? Conciliation is when one party says, "I don't hold anything against you." And so here God is basically giving his son to the world, and the world smashes him and beats him and crucifies him.
Mm.
And God says, look, this is the worst thing you could do is kill my son, and I don't hold it against you, right? That's how much love he has for the world, is that he's, even then, his forgiveness is such that gravest of all sins is not being held to anyone's account.
Well,
So
then, what's the point of leading a good life and being a good person?
Well, that comes to accountability, right? That comes down to accountability. So then when Jesus,
Wait, are you trying to say? Wait, real quick. Are we trying to say Hitler is going to heaven?
Oh yeah,
Fuck.
but he'll be a nice guy because he'll be transformed.
Will he still have that mustache?
I have no idea.
I think the mustache
Will
will
hair be a thing up there?
I don't know.
All right.
But so then, see, and then Jesus' death on the cross was not when he physically died. See, because before that, he said, and this is from the Aramaic, right? He says, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because it says, he who knew no sin became sin for us, that we might be the righteousness of God in him. So he became the sin offering for the whole world, right?
Right.
And at that point, that's when he died. Before he physically died, he spiritually died because he had been cut off from his own Father, right? So he suffered the same death that we all do, being cut off from God. But because he is the immortal Son of God, it calls him the firstborn from among the dead. But if you look through the Bible, there was people that were raised from the dead before him. But he was the first one who was spiritually reunited with the Father. So then he goes up to heaven, and then he offers himself as the perfect sacrifice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that paved the way for everyone else. And then when you read later on, after Jesus ascended to heaven, when you read in Acts, there's a guy named Stephen, and he's getting stoned to death.
Right.
Well, when he's being stoned to death, heaven opens up to him, and he looks and sees the Father, and he says, Father, lay not this sin to their charge, because the way had been opened to heaven because of Jesus' atonement on the cross. So then after that, people would go straight to heaven.
So that got rid of-
But Sheol was still full, right? That hadn't been dealt with yet.
So if Jesus didn't die for his sin, did Jesus literally die for people's sins? Like literally, was that the reason why he was supposed to die? Because of everyone's
Because he was a
sins?
sin offering. All the Old
So
Testament.
if he didn't die,
Mhm.
let's say he just died of
If
old
he didn't
age.
die, then there would be no atonement. So he had to
Meaning-
die.
So he had to die.
Oh, of course.
Must be a shitty feeling for him. So with that being said, is that why baptisms happen? It doesn't have to do with
baptism is a sort of a symbolic thing of being
that? Dunked when you're...
well, because it goes to
I almost drowned 'cause
there's-
this guy-
There are so many allegories throughout the Bible of stuff like that. Like take the Egypt. So in Egypt, right? When you read the book of Exodus, there's Egypt, and the Hebrews were slaves in Egypt, right? So you have they're in physical bondage in Egypt, and God sends plagues on Egypt through Moses goes and says, "Let my people go," right? And then these plagues get sent upon Egypt, and see, this is talking about the character of God, and after only the second plague, Pharaoh says, "Forget it, you all can go," right?
Right.
But then it says God hardened his heart, and then Pharaoh changes his mind, right? See, the second plague was frogs. There was just frogs everywhere, right?
Like literally frogs?
Literally frogs all over the place.
Like ribbit?
Oh, yeah.
Magnolia.
All over the place. And so with all these frogs all over the place, Pharaoh says, "That's it. I'm done. You Hebrews can just pack up and go."
Right.
And then when he says that, the frogs die. And then when all the frogs died, then it says God hardened Pharaoh's heart, and Pharaoh said, "No, I changed my mind. You're not going
So
anywhere."
how long ago was this? Whenever this...
This was thousands. This was like 1,300 years before Jesus or something like that.
I think you might be thinking what I'm thinking. All right, so if this all ended
Mhm.
what do we do now? Like, I mean, we just live out our lives. There's nothing left to.
No, what we're doing is we're growing.
Are we post?
We're growing. Yeah, we're
this
yeah. So
big thing that happened.
So we're growing the kingdom. See, and then the thing is that so Moses leads the Hebrews out of bondage, right? And they wander in the desert for 40 years, and then they get to the promised land, right? And they set up all the while they're setting up all these animal sacrifices and stuff like that, which were allegories of Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. His was the real deal. All this animal stuff was just kind of pointing the way to what Jesus was going to do, right?
Okay.
So then when he performs his sacrifice at the cross, right? Then the Hebrew religion had been sealed. Everything was done, right? The whole the forgiveness of sins for real, right? Because they would practice these rituals every day. There were sacrifices that they did, but then they would do this one big sacrifice on the Day of Atonement, right? And then that was symbolic of Jesus on the cross. So anyways, see, it was symbolic. So saying, okay, everybody's sins are forgiven, but then they would have to come back next year and do it again, right? Whereas Jesus's atonement was once for all time. So he covers all the sin that anybody will ever commit.
He just
right?
made it easier. Like Schnucks. Or no, is that Deerbrooks? Deerbrooks, we make it easy. Is that Schnucks?
So he covered all the sin for all time, future and everything, right?
So
Future, past, and everything. So then that system was no longer necessary. See, and a lot of people don't realize that in the first century, Jerusalem was completely annihilated by the Romans.
So why did someone? I just don't understand. Like, why did someone have to die for that to happen? I mean, can't God just let it? Can't just God make that fucking happen? I don't understand that. It just doesn't.
Okay.
Like, why symbolically does that have to happen?
Okay, because sacrifice is important for one thing, because what it is you're being mindful of the future, right? If you're sacrificing now, right, you're being mindful of the future. But also, the whole thing with the cross, like I was saying, is it was God showing how strong His love is, right? Because you don't have a kid. But you have a dog, right? And if the dog, pees on the carpet or something like that, how many times is he going to do that before you
sacrifice him?
Get a new dog, right? Or
no,
send the dog away, right? You know what I mean?
No. I mean, it's your dog. No.
Well,
if I had a kid, I'm not going to give the kid
away.
But
some people would say, hey, this is the,
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Some people would do that. But and with your kid, there's going to be more forgiveness, right? But what about somebody that you don't know, or your neighbor, or whatever, or some guy down the street? How much slack are they going to get, right? The point is that God knows that He made us all obstinately opposed to His will. He made us all wicked, and we did to His Son whatever we would, right?
Mm-hmm.
And He still says, I don't blame you. You know what I'm saying? He's saying, I don't blame you. You're only acting in your nature. This is how much I love you. This is how big my forgiveness is that my own son, in your hands, you tried to destroy him, and yet I'm letting it go.
What about the second coming
follow?
of Jesus? Is there going to be a second?
Well, that's the thing is that the second coming occurred in AD 70 when He took, because that was the generation that slew the Christ. And so that's in when you read in Matthew 23 when Jesus is ripping on the scribes and the Pharisees, he says to them, all the righteous blood shed in the earth, all the way from back to Abel to Zechariah, you guys are going to be responsible for, and all this judgment is going to come upon this generation. Well, 40 years later, in AD 70, Jerusalem was completely annihilated. The whole city was ruined. The temple was destroyed. And, the Ark of the Covenant is gone. Everything is gone. The whole Jewish system was wiped out completely. So that's God saying, my son was the atonement. He is the atonement for sin. now that has been fulfilled, this system of the sacrifices, daily sacrifices, is no longer necessary, and then it was taken out of the way.
So the second coming, like him coming back, you don't believe that's not going to happen?
No, that did happen.
No, but like now.
Oh, as far as like people thinking that
A third
Jesus is going to come flying out of the sky and land on the Mount of Olives or whatever, and
Yeah, with
and
the
be
trumpets and all that.
Like, yes, and here's my kingdom. No, that's not going to happen.
Well, then why? I mean, why are we still existing then? Why don't we just go to heaven?
Because we're growing His kingdom here, okay, and like Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, right? It's a very small seed, but then it grows to be a giant tree that provides shelter and stuff for all these birds and such, right? And when you read through like the book of Daniel, which if you like Revelation, you'll really love Daniel, and he talks about how there's a rock that starts off as just a rock, and then it grows to be a mountain that covers the earth, right? So that's what the kingdom is the kingdom was Jesus and his handful of followers that he had, and then it grew and grew and grew, and now look, there's 1 billion such Christians on earth, and then it's just expanding,
Well, it seems like religion is sort of dropping off, though. That there's more
It would seem
atheists,
that
there's
way.
more people who, were questioning, Christianity.
It would seem that way, but I think that as far as actual people being regenerated by the Spirit, because the thing is that it's not really a choice that any person makes. Like, I didn't choose the way that the way my life has ended up. It was just something that sort of happened to me. I mean. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
it's hard to describe unless you're here in this situation.
Respectfully, I mean, if you look at now today, and you said we have gone light years ahead of where we were as far as living the Christian life. I mean, it's pretty bad now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, greed, lust, sloth. I mean, all of the
but
7
all
deadly
that's-
sins. I mean,
So, Mo,
it's been exasperated. It's been inflated.
The Pope said he thinks the death penalty should not exist. So are you in agreement with him on that one?
Death penalty? I used to be pretty involved in politics, but I really don't get involved too much in politics anymore. I just kind of
Simple
do my
question.
thing.
Somebody who kills somebody, you don't believe they should be put to death for that?
I don't think the death penalty solves anything. And the other thing is like this is a really profound thing that I remember watching one time.
But if you sacrifice somebody, it's okay.
No, check this out. This is actually very interesting with regard to forgiveness and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was have you heard of the Green River Killer? Gary something or other is his name. He was out in Washington or something, and this guy killed. I mean, he had when they caught him and they put him on trial. He admitted to like over 70 murders of prostitutes and stuff in the Washington area, and and they actually got help from Ted Bundy. They went down to Florida or something and talked to Ted Bundy and they said, "Hey, we need help with this, finding this guy." And Ted Bundy, he not to pass up the spotlight, he offered what he thought, But anyway, so they wound up catching this guy, and so how when they go to these trials, right? And then the guy pled guilty to I don't know how many counts, but anyways, after it was over with, then they invited the families in, and the families, okay, have your say, and all these people were, "You're going to hell, you're going to burn forever," and all this stuff, and just yelling at the guy, and he's just kind of just sitting there just like this here. And then this old guy comes up, and he says, "I'm going to tell you something. You make it really hard to be a Christian because of what you've done, But he says, me being a Christian, I'm supposed to forgive. God commands me to forgive. And so I say to you, you are forgiven." And the guy broke down bawling. That moved him, whereas all this yelling about hell and stuff didn't faze him at all,
Right.
And that to me really speaks volumes of,
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that was very powerful
Interesting.
to
I
watch.
totally get that.
Should we take like a 5-minute break?
Well, how much more do we really have to talk about? Are you? Are
No,
you?
I see.
We should. Are you coming on next week?
I don't know. I probably could.
Every
but,
time
know.
you come on, we need to do a segment of religion, not
Sure.
the whole show.
Duh. I feel we do. I mean, we
because
literally do.
It's very interesting.
Well,
sure.
and like my two
And there's
big.
some- yeah,
I gotta
my
get out of here
two-
by 11 anyway.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like my two big issues are one, how does one lead a Christian life in this modern world, and the other one is why do you want to lead a Christian life if you're not going to go to hell? I mean, those are the two big questions that I have.
I got you.
The fear of death, though.
And those are probably big questions for you to answer.
a lot of
so.
people are afraid of death. So I mean,
Well, no, I feel like that's only. I felt
I mean,
that,
should we go to work every day to make money, or should we just be out, helping homeless people who are
could
addicted
do
to
both.
heroin and
You could do both.
get the needle out of their arm?
you know what I
and-
believe, Blue? Do whatever the fuck makes you happy. As long as you're not killing people or
I mean,
hurting
it's
people.
great. I mean, but I'm saying, as a Christian person,
you can do both. You have to make a living for yourself.
Do you?
Yes.
I mean, do you
Well,
really?
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people that find a way to just do strictly missionary work.
I mean, there were
if they're
monks,
supported
man.
and
There-
stuff.
there-
I mean,
You have to be able to buy food and stuff.
There were monks who were starving to death. People who just put every ounce of their energy into helping those who were suffering, and to me, those are the people who I think are the real, absolute, 100% Christian people. These monks who died and sacrificed. That's what I think.
Sure.
True Christianity
But at the-
is.
but at the
And
same
I'm too much of a
time-
coward to do it myself.
at the same time, though,
You're right about that.
And so are you.
at the same time, a lot of it is being led by the Spirit.
More
because
so.
what a lot of people don't realize about Christianity is it's not based upon any effort of your own. It's based upon realizing that it's God working in you. And so, like with this whole death thing, you have to kind of get the concept that I'm a dead person that God has animated. The Greek word Zoe that is used to translate into the word life, it actually means animated by God. So how I try to envision myself is as a dead person who is animated by God, and just the things that I do are God working through me.
So,
What are we doing?
what do you mean free will?
Oh, there's no free will.
Fuck. Really? You don't believe in free will at all? Do you think
No,
this is
absolutely not.
100%? I mean, if there was a play button that we could hit, it would all be just everybody would be acting out everything.
Well, the thing is,
Everything
it's like,
everything's concluded. There's already an end. You already know there is an end. There is some. You're gonna die this way. I'm gonna die this way. I'm going to eat, my food in exactly 22 minutes, and everything's gonna go exactly as planned, identical. You feel like there's no free will. Everything is predetermined.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I wouldn't say everything is predetermined, but I would say that the way that we are, the character that we have, and such like that,
Mm-hmm.
is not in our control. Right? So biblically speaking, right? It said, Jesus said, "Whoever sins is a slave of sin."
Mm-hmm.
So someone who's unregenerate, who hasn't been born of the Spirit, they're only like the people that crucified Jesus, right? When they put him on the cross, he said, "Forgive them; they know not what they do." They're only acting within their nature. This is why I say that atheists or whatever are, people say, well, they're going to hell and all this stuff, and biblically it doesn't make sense, because if Jesus says whoever sins is a slave of sin, they're a slave to their nature. They're acting that way, right? They're being alcoholics or
Whoa.
into pornography and all that
Hold
stuff.
up. No. Well, yeah. Porn's one thing, but wait, real quick. So, if there's really there's technically not free will. Everything kind of is predetermined to you, at least in a little bit, in some aspect. With that being said, when Jesus was being crucified on the cross, God was acting that out. God was making that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so it's just it's a crazy, horrible game that he created. Sorry,
no,
not
it's
horrible.
not it's
or
not
a really
game.
great game to some people. But everything he has done, everything horrible, a child getting terminal cancer, all that stuff is just predetermined and just there's no free will.
Well, see, the thing is that okay.
I'm just trying to understand, and I'm not trying to argue. I'm
And
not trying to
there's so many
this
there's so many difficult questions, and what I have to do is I have to go through my biblical knowledge and access that to come up with a good answer for those, and they're great questions. They really are. So something. Take for it like the Green River Killer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, or Hitler, right? Because I got confronted by this guy on the street last night, actually, because I was wearing this T-shirt and it said, "If the goal of God is to be all in all, can there be anyone who's left out?" And so the guy was reading my shirt and he goes, "Oh, what does that mean?" I said, "Well, it means, God is going to be all in all. That's what it says. The goal of God is to be all in all. That means that everybody's going to go to God, right? And everybody's going to be a part of God."
Right.
And then he says, "So does that mean Adolf Hitler goes to heaven?" I said, "Absolutely." And then he starts going in on me while I was walking down the street with my uncle, who's blind. And so my uncle's like, "Thanks very much," or whatever, and let's go on our way or whatever. And it was starting to rain and such, and we had to get home. But so I handed him one of my cards and said, "Just watch my videos, and if you want to talk to me about it, reach me through my YouTube channel." But see, what it comes down to is, the Bible says that God makes vessels for honor, and He makes vessels for dishonor. Well, we talked about Pharaoh earlier. Well, Hitler would be one of those vessels He made for dishonor, right? And then what it is as whatever Hitler did says as much about his character with regard to how he handled himself as to how we view him, right? Because what I would say is him being an unregenerate person, right, who wasn't born again and born of the Spirit, he was just acting in his nature, right? And then for us to say, well, he's going to be damned forever for what he did, right? We're casting a judgment on him, and it's saying something about our character by the way we view them, just like as we view the Green River Killer, right? Or an abortion doctor or whatever,
So we're judging people, and it's sort of like we're judging ourselves by judging them.
Yeah, we're
all kind of
condemning
connected.
ourselves by how we're casting judgment on other people. And the thing is that we need to understand where people are at, and I know a lot of atheist people, or agnostics and atheists and stuff like that. And the way I approach them is, instead of condemning them and saying, you're going to hell because you don't believe in Jesus and stuff like that, what I try to do is say, okay, you don't understand, and then what I'll do is I'll point out stuff in the Bible that is saying, saying these kinds of things about the nature of man and the nature of God, right? And then when they hear that stuff, because it says faith comes from hearing, and hearing of the Word of God, then that's what works on their spirit, and especially a lot of atheists, they tend to be scientifically minded, and they tend to be more practical and that kind of thing. And when you approach them and you say, you don't understand, right? And then you throw that you don't understand thing at them, then sometimes they maybe get offended, hey, what do you mean I don't understand, and stuff like that? Or you better than me because I don't understand, and you think you understand, what makes you think you know whatever, But then you take like a person like somebody who's a killer, right? And that's another thing. Like sometimes there'll be these serial killers, and then when they get to prison, then they have they all of a sudden became a Christian, right?
Yeah, they had some
maybe they really
epiphany.
did. Maybe they had an epiphany. Maybe it really happened, and then then what does that say about our hearts when we're saying, yeah, right? He's just saying that because he got caught or whatever, or you know what I mean? Right. So what if the guy really did have an epiphany, right? But so the thing is like, yeah, that's a thing about understanding. I don't understand how that guy went from that to this, you know. And I've talked to my daughter about this kind of thing, where, you know, I used to be involved in, you know, the person I was years ago is an atrocious person compared to where I'm at now, you know. Not, and it's not I haven't attained to anything. What it is it's God's transforming me, and as He's transforming me, He's transforming you and him and him and him and whatever, and He's transforming the whole creation, right? So it's not a heaven and hell thing. What it is it's a transformation, you know. And even the most hardened atheists, they're being transformed, and they're ignorant of them being transformed, but when they get older, they'll sit there and go, well, when I was a kid, you know, I used to whatever, and they don't understand, they don't realize that they are being transformed, you know.
So let me ask you this: so is there, you know, I know you don't believe in a judgment day, or that there would be judgment day, because that'd be the second coming, and the second coming already happened. But that being said, I mean, so you don't believe that the Earth will? You think humans will ever evolve?
Evolve.
Just, I mean, we will continue to live on Earth forever.
Oh yeah, the Earth is going to go on forever, and and humanity is going to continue forever.
So we could go outside of this Earth, because we will outgrow it, unless we kill ourselves.
Well, the Earth's
Enough.
a pretty big place, for one thing.
It is. It is. But I mean, eventually, I mean, we're talking, I mean, even 100,000 years. I mean, for how much we've exploded, so to speak, and, you know, population. I mean, you know, is it okay?
Yeah, but I mean, see,
in your sense, to possibly travel another planet? Is that okay, or is that not
I would say
feasible?
that's impossible.
But that's another.
And you're trying to trick me.
That's another story, and that's another
You're trying
night.
to get me into something.
No.
Yeah, we need to continue this, though. I mean, this is very interesting.
It is. And here's the thing: I'm not, you know, I try to keep an open mind. I don't try to be.
You're definitely
rude.
coming back on the show.
Okay.
No, and Mo, you know, for another time, I would just love for you to lay out how a modern man's supposed to live his life.
I actually think we should
Honestly.
do a 4-hour show and start an hour earlier, as long as he's on it.
All
Okay.
right. Sounds good.
I mean, I'm down for it. Absolutely.
From 7 to 11.
Jeez, man, it's gonna be a long podcast.
My back's gonna hurt real bad.
All right, but
It's because you got back.
you guys can continue the show, but I have got to get.
I gotta go too. Yeah.
All right, we're all gonna leave at the same time.
Sure.
On that
Man.
note, guys, this is Going Dutch Radio Network. Thank you guys for
Good
watching.
show.
We went live right around 8ish. Okay, 8ish p.m.
And we hit the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, we're live every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central. Thank you guys for watching. We greatly appreciate it. Do we have any final thoughts or anything that we just talked about? Synopsis? Any thanks for watching?
Part
or-
2 of religion with Mo next time he's on.
Yeah. Do you want to be on next week?
Yeah, if I can make it, you know, I'll have to check what I'm doing, but yeah.
All right, guys.
All
Hey,
right.
if anyone liked Moe Zura, that's right. His first name is Mo. His last name is Zura. He has a YouTube channel, people. Moe Zura. Listen to it. Watch it. Love it. That's why we had him on. He's very interesting, and he's so interesting that all of us really do want to see him back on here, whether it's next week or in a couple weeks. This is Going Dutch Radio Network, guys. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next week.
Oh, yeah.